Sean Nealon has a partially torn lateral meniscus, not an ACL injury. He is expected to be able to return later this season.
It's time.
You know what time it is?
Game for Tuscaloosa's longest running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best.
Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. And now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
Alabama drops to Vanderbilt. We're going to react to it. We're going to talk about it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is sponsored by Daniel Moore, and the bad and the ugly is sponsored by, I don't know, maybe Alabama's play in Nashville. That may be one of the things that we'll dive into. We're going to talk about it. We're going to take your phone calls, and we'll do a reaction Monday. Did not think that we would be doing this, but here we are. There's several different things. There's several different reasons I think Alabama lost. Certainly the focus was not on Vanderbilt. I still think that even we as not in that locker room, we had a hard time moving beyond the Georgia win, right? And I think that's probably a young team in youth in spots. They got leadership and older guys in certain spots, but probably not enough of them when you look at it, kind of maybe rallying the troops and getting focused. I know that they are saying all the right things on a Monday afternoon. We're going to react to it. We're going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. Not a lot of good, but plenty of bad and ugly to go back. When you look at this defensive side of the football, not the performance that any of us thought that Alabama was going to go struggle with Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's a team that lost to Georgia State. And how do you know? Nick Saban throwing out rat poison a couple of weeks ago might have fired those guys up, and maybe they had something to prove. But that's not the excuse Alabama lost. Alabama got beat. Alabama got whipped. It was not a performance that anybody in that building is proud of. I think when you look at it, where they go from here, maybe the bigger topic of conversation. And if we're here next Monday and we're reacting to another sloppy play, because you think about 67 points in the last 6 quarters, that is something that's going to have to be fixed. Or if not, you're going to put a lot of pressure on the offensive side of the football with very little margin of error. Alabama, you saw that on Saturday with the mistakes. And the mistakes cost you. Not just, you could look, I think the primary was the defensive side of the football, but your offense, it puts a lot of pressure that you've got to be able to score every time. And anytime James Burnip steps on that field, you got to be able to make it up somehow, some way. They were not able to do that. So we'll take your phone calls. We'll take your reaction. Let's start with a little Kalen DeBoer audio clip, and then we'll go to Malachi Moore, because I know a lot of people want to talk about that. A lot of people, want to talk about Jaheim Otis hitting the portal. We'll react to that, and we'll take Robert in Mobile. So, Robert, get ready. We'll take you coming up here in just a couple of seconds, but I want to start with Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer opening comments from earlier today. You may have heard it, but here's a chance just to hear his opening comments. Then we're going to dive into the meat of the potatoes of the program.
Watching the film and all of that from Saturday, just a lot of the same feelings I had, after the game. And I think the feelings, first of all, the team has certainly disappointed, upset, fired up, and I think, you're always looking at what the response is. And they came yesterday back, the thing you have to provide as coaches is the answers, an understanding of where we go from here. And I think our staff did a nice job, and I think our guys did a great job responding with the right mindset, with the right attitude, brought some great energy. Probably one of the nice things about having a Sunday where we get together is, we get to move on. Outside of the building, the game gets held on to for not a day, probably not a week. For some people, you hold on to it for the rest of your life. But for these guys, they don't get the choice. And we as a staff and them together have to move on. And we've done that after yesterday, understanding where we got to get better. We know we're a work in progress. Not a finished product by any means, and that showed up on Saturday. But the key is that we continue to improve, and that's one of our core values, is to have a relentless pursuit of continuous improvement. The guys showed that they want to do that, and sticking together and owning it in every way, and that's staff to every player on the football team. So proud of that part, and there's each side of the ball, all phases of the game, where we can continue to just keep building. We have a great football team. I'm convinced of that. I have no doubt of that. I believe in these guys. I believe in them more when I see the resiliency that they have, whether it's during the games that we've played, not just this last game, but different games. The way that they prepared that leads to the passion that comes out on the football field, and that resiliency. They got fight in them. They want to win bad. They want to uphold all the traditions of Alabama football, and no one feels worse about this than all of us here in this building, the football team and our coaches. So we're looking forward to South Carolina here this next week. Coach Beamer, continue to build on the program there, doing some really nice things. Physical football team, and they're coming off of a tough game as well with Ole Miss there, and things not going their way. So we know it's going to be another fight here in the world of the SEC.
So that is Kalen DeBoer kind of addressing the media earlier. We were in that room just a couple of hours ago. Kane Womack was also there. Nick Sheridan also had some comments, and we'll dive into a couple different things as we travel throughout. Malachi Moore, the question that came up, and we do know that there was a team meeting last night, but this is a typical team meeting on a Sunday, right? He addressed the teammates. That's been revealed by a couple of different sources, but it's also one that Kalen DeBoer did not talk about the specific meeting, but addressed this from a Malachi Moore standpoint. A lot of you are coming, and hey, you've got a lot of reaction to this, as I have heard on social networks. I've read it, and we'll dive into it. We'll also read his apology coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Kalen DeBoer addressed the Malachi Moore situation.
No, we have handled it, and I'm just going to say this about Malachi. What he did, he has gone above and beyond in owning, taking ownership in it. And this is pretty much immediately after the game to this morning. Things that are all prompted by him, but also part of just our conversations. The guy, I think the thing I want to make sure Bama fans know is that this guy has been rock solid and been a critical piece, along with others. There are some others as well, of keeping this thing together since January. Okay, when a lot of guys chose to leave, this guy stood firm. This guy loves Alabama football. He works relentlessly out there every single day on the football field. It's the passion that questions asked about me and the passion and frustration. That's what you saw from him. And so, yeah, there's some things that, he regrets and wishes probably didn't do. Yeah, but he's owned up to it, and we've handled it internally, and still handling it internally. And so, he's a first-class guy. He is out in the community weekly, as just part of who he is, doing things to give back, understanding the platform he has. A lot of eyes are on our program. A lot of eyes are on him. And, this guy plays hard for himself, his teammates, but this program means so much to him. And so, doesn't make it right by any means what some of the actions were, but I want people to understand also that he's had my and our back since day one, and there comes a point too where sometimes as things play out, you got to have your guys back as well, and understand that we all make mistakes, and we all just got to own up to it, and we're doing that, and we will continue to move on.
So that's Kalen DeBoer addressing the Malachi Moore situation that most of us saw on Saturday evening, and probably a little bit embarrassed. And it was probably a moment that Malachi Moore would love to be able to have back. We'll take the Malachi Moore statement he put out on social networks, and I don't know if they'll run him out in the media and he'll address this, but I'll read it to you. I want to apologize to my teammates, our coaches, the fans, our alumni, my family for the way I acted on Saturday. I was completely out of line. I let the emotions of the game get the best of me, put myself before the team. team. As a two-time captain, a fifth-year player, I understand the standard that we are expected to live up to at Alabama, and I failed to do so by acting in a selfish and unacceptable manner. I came back this season to represent myself, this team, and this university because it means something to me. I'm blessed to be able to wear the A on my chest, and I know all that comes with the responsibility of representing this program. I will do better to uphold the Alabama standard moving forward, and I will continue to work and improve while conducting myself in a first-class manner. That's Malachi Moore. Let's dive right into phone calls. We'll do the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is sponsored by Daniel Moore Art. And the bad and the ugly is sponsored by, I don't know, I can't even pick on the Auburn cheerleaders today.
Alabama defense.
Alabama defense. They'll sponsor the bad and the ugly. I think most people would agree with that. Robert in Mobile. Robert, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Oh, something happened this weekend?
Yeah, I went to the hunting club yesterday. I did a lot of pole saw work, got some chainsaw work. Yeah. I mean, is that what you're talking about? I didn't get as much accomplished as I wanted to accomplish, but here we are. Based on my phone messages, I guess people thought I was at the top of the water tower.
Well, I didn't see your message thinking that. I may be in the minority, but I rather liked Malachi's passion in the end. Not so much, that he did everything he did, but this wasn't just another loss. And I'm glad he recognizes that, we can't treat this like it's another loss. This is deeper than just another loss. This is Auburn. I mean, it's worse than losing to Auburn in the Iron Bowl. At least sometimes you lose to a decent Auburn team, and it's, you've got 50,000, you got 100,000 fans screaming at you and hostile environment, voodoo dolls to take you down. Okay, that you get. Losing to Vanderbilt, like Nick Saban said, that's one that, every place in the SEC tough playing except Vanderbilt. He said that for a reason because it's not normally tough to play there. Now, this is a good Vanderbilt team, one of the best we've seen in the Saban era. The best we've seen in the Saban era, but it's still Vanderbilt. We're still Alabama. This is a good Alabama team losing to Vanderbilt. If it was the first year, Nick, I know there feel a lot of people say, what about Louisiana Monroe? That was Nick Saban picking up the pieces from Alabama's team that had gone down in decline, great decline. Everybody gets that. But you're talking about number one team in the nation? Vanderbilt has never beaten a number one team in the nation with at 60 tries. And you're the first?
And you're the first. And that will be a trivia question 25 years from now, and it will be the University of Alabama. I mean, it stings. I mean, it is a awful, awful loss, and there's no excuse for that loss. You don't go to Vanderbilt and play the way that you did and get any pats on the back. I also think, and I said this on the scoreboard show that I did, the postgame show here on Tide and also on our sister station, that this is the new college football. This is it. I mean, I'm not saying losing to Vanderbilt is the bottom, but Alabama fans of running undefeated and getting losses, we're as close to the NFL as we've ever been. This is going to happen. It is the new world of college football.
And like you just said, in the NFL, at any given time, the worst team can beat the best team. Because the gap is between the worst team and the best team is narrow. We used to in college football, that gap being so wide, it's unthinkable. But like has been said, the ceiling has been lowered from the good teams to the lower team,
sure,
and the floor has been risen. Like Martin Houston said, that's what's happened in college football. Which again, this is what I've been warning this is going to happen ever since they started talking NIL and transfer portal. I knew this was going to happen, but it's still.
And I'm not blaming Alabama's loss, but I'm just saying. When I heard Kirby Smart, and I've kind of tried to bring some of this back, SEC spring meetings, when he stood up at the podium and he said, guys, we're not going to see undefeated teams anymore. And Here we are into the month of October, and we have one SEC team that's undefeated. And here's a crazy question. Has that ever happened before this early when you've only had one team that's undefeated? Digger from Louisiana, your team's undefeated. Congratulations. We'll hand the prize out, and it'll be up front. But we have nobody else that's undefeated. We have no one else undefeated. here we are.
That's
And, and I like the 12-team playoff. You do have a little margin of error. You've got a way to get in. Maybe that – because, think about if we were at 4 teams with this same type of chaos in the world of college athletics. So at least you have the 12-team playoff to give you a spot to go, even though who knows what the playoffs will look like.
Yeah, in mathematics, there's a phrase called the nullifier. And the nullifier is, whatever a number that makes another number 0. Whatever number makes the number 0, that's the nullifier. And I've always used the word but. Well, I always refer to the word but as the ultimate nullifier. Yeah, you're a beautiful woman, a great personality, but then you say that, you nullified everything you just said before, and all she's going to hear is what the criticism you're going to give afterward. The ultimate nullifier. This game lost to Vanderbilt is the ultimate nullifier. It completely nullified the victory over Georgia. To a huge degree, we were number 4 when we played Georgia. And at the number 1 team, we dropped down to 7. So not only did we lose the place where we were before, we dropped 3 spots below that. That's how bad this loss was. This is a humongous loss. It completely nullifies the game with Georgia before.
It does.
And so in
a lot of ways, because you want to see what this team responds. How do they respond? Do they respond with they come in with a notebook? There needs to be some more attention to detail, and I think that's been identified. We'll see if it's corrected. It's been identified. Yeah, will it be corrected? I don't know.
Yeah, the season is beginning all over again. The season starts this weekend. This is a new season now for Alabama football. Forget their games prior. Forget it. This is a new season now. And, that's just how it is. And I do like Malachi Moore's passion. Hey, this wasn't just another loss. He recognized that. And hopefully the rest of the team will recognize too. And like you said before, okay, now what do you do going forward? You had your temper tantrum. You showed your passion. But, again, I like the passion. Now what are you going to do going forward? Again, this is a new season now. Like you said, it's a 12-team playoff. Your season isn't over because of one loss. And remember another thing I was telling you all earlier when you didn't want to expand the playoff? Everybody was saying, well, the regular season game will become meaningless. What regular season game Alabama's played has been meaningless so far? Absolutely none. Even the victory of Georgia, we celebrated that wasn't meaningless. And this loss the last week, Saturday, that's not meaningless. maybe NFL. The college football season is too short for games to be meaningless. These games, no, they're not meaningless. They still mean a lot. And that in 12-team playoffs, a 60-team playoff, these games still mean a lot when you lose them. So it's not over. But real quick before I go, the defensive coordinator, he's on notice. This is all defense. What really bugs me the most is Jalen Miro had a really good game going. I mean, he was playing lights out once again, and we're not focusing on how well he's progressed because of that loss. He was doing really everything we said we wondered if he could do underneath passes, reading. He was doing spot on. We had the ball, and he had the ball just 20 minutes instead of 17. We'd have still pulled that game out with room to spare. This is all defense. Well, if you want to break it down, 90% defense, 10% offense. Defense is King Womack is on notice. Man, you got to improve this.
I mean, 67 points. And it's not just him, right? But it's the defensive side of the football. It's not just the defensive coordinator, but it's, I know this is probably not going to come over very favorable. I want to see more from the defensive line. And I think that starts with Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach, you've got to get to your guys. You got to get your guys to engage. We love you. You're an Alabama guy. We're pulling for you. But this defensive line's got to play better. To me, the defensive line should be the veteran part of your football team.
42 minutes. That's unthinkable. That is not offense. I know people saying we didn't run enough. We couldn't run. We couldn't hold the ball long enough to run. I'm sure the plan was to run more. They couldn't follow through their plan because they couldn't get Vanderbilt on the field.
At that point, you had to play catch-up. And
exactly.
This goes back to what we were just saying a couple of minutes ago. When you look at, this defensive side of the football, we thought that this was going to be a problem coming out of A-Day, and we thought, okay, there's some signs that they've been able to fix it. This is one of those that you said you start back from square one. Robert, I appreciate you, man. Roll Tide to you.
Catch you later.
Yeah, right back to you. Phone calls, we'll get to those coming up in a couple of minutes. We've got more Kalen DeBoer audio. Greg in Athens, Jumbo here in Tuscaloosa. Bubba, Super Joe here in Tuscaloosa. We'll get to you guys. We do have one line available at 205-342-9904. We're going to try to move through these. We only have 2 guests today. 2 guests, that's it. And then we'll take your phone calls, pretty much the majority of the show. So we'll take your reaction. Alabama, disappointing loss against Vanderbilt. I mean, that's even hard to say. I mean, Alabama loses.
I can't even fathom that sentence.
Yeah, I mean, it's Alabama losing to Vanderbilt. And as Kalen DeBoer said, nobody in that building is accepting this. You do have to learn from your mistakes, and we'll see if this Alabama football team is able to do that. We'll continue. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyline Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. Buy 3 tires, get that 4th tire for only $1. How about a Tundra as low as 1.99 APR for $36 with a $2,000 loyalty cash? The 2024 Tacoma as low as 3.49 APR for $36 with a $1,500 loyalty cash. Camry 3.99 APR for $36. It is Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. We'll take your comments via the Twitter account at Ryan C. Fowler. We'll also take the app messages, and we've already getting 5-342-9904. I'm still standing. Ask me this next Monday. If I'm sitting, we've got problems. We'll see where this team, how they respond, and I think you're going to see a different football team, but I don't know. I mean, I look at the defensive side of the football. Some of that's correctable. Some of it is not. Some of it's just going to be some pains that we're going to have to live with the remaining part of the season. You really put a lot of pressure back on that. I've also kind of countered the rebuttal. I said this is the new college football. I'm not just saying that. I mean, listen, I've tried to convince myself that this is what the new college football looks like. I'm not saying losing to Vanderbilt, but I think the chaos that you're seeing in the world of college athletics, right? When you look at all the top 10 teams dropping, all the top 25 teams, losing a game, the one undefeated team, Texas. That's it in the SEC. And for somebody out there that's a historian, I'd love for you to know. Tommy and Romulus, we're looking at you. You're a guy. Has it ever happened? The first week of October? The first Saturday in October? Beyond that, you have one undefeated team in the SEC. Has that ever happened before? Normally it's November when all this kind of works its way out. Let's go to Greg in Athens. Greg, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Hey, thank you, Ryan, for taking my call. I've old enough to have witnessed the Falkland Islands War. I have seen the Iron Curtain fall, and I've also been witness to the demise of the Soviet Union. But not in my adulthood have I ever seen Alabama lose to Vanderbilt until this weekend. And I was at a grandson's ball tournament, so I didn't even get to watch it. And I told my wife when we got home, and this game was already over with, that I can't do that again. I cannot. But there's going to be a lot of overreaction, not only to the game, but to Mr. Moore. I watched the press conference earlier. I heard everything that Kalen had to say. And
will you accept that, or do you want more?
I accept it because here's the thing: whether it's Nick Saban or Kalen DeBoer or any other coach, we want, do we want the problem fixed, or do we want our pound of flesh? Because those are two different things. And so,
do you feel, listen, like I said, Malachi Moore, as he said, he didn't represent the University of Alabama. That was his words, not my words, but I agree with him.
Right.
It's at what point, I mean, owning your mistake, I think, is part of the responsibility. And I'll tell you this, he owned it immediately in the locker room. I mean, we're talking just a few minutes after the game. He owned it last night when he addressed his team. I'm not going to reveal what he said, but his team, if they're happy with it, then I go, and everybody says, well, Saban would have done this. Well, Saban had 5 other 5-stars that he could have rolled out there. So then what do? Do you say, all right, well, I'm going to suspend him for a game, but then we're going to get our head kicked in because he's one of your veteran core leaders, and then you'll gripe and complain about that too?
Hey, Vanderbilt's coach said he commented on, players making mistakes, and he said, look, I'm getting paid to win games. And, he said, I had to adapt myself this year to the notion of Guys are going to make stupid choices, and we will deal with it. But at the end of the day, we're all here for one reason.
Yeah.
And that's to win, right?
And these players, I mean, they have the coaches by the gonads. I mean, they have them. I mean, they have them. I mean, you guys wanted player rights. We got it. Here it is. Players' rights.
So here's a news flash for a lot of fans in Alabama. The Nick Saban era is over and done with. That will never come back.
Amen.
All right? So you can gnash your teeth, you can weep, you can cuss at the moon, whatever it is you want to do, but those days for all teams is over. Georgia is not the same team it was 2 years ago, and they still have the same coach. After Alabama's disaster, I watched Tennessee do the same thing against Arkansas. And so, look, there is more parity now. We have become NFL light. I don't like it. We have no rules, and every game is going to be a challenge when you're playing, SEC teams and some of these other Power 5 teams. So you've got to be prepared. And, the other thing you haven't talked about yet, I don't think, is that Jaheim Otis is now on the transfer.
I briefly mentioned that Jaheim Otis is putting his name in the portal. This young man, I was told by, somebody that was close to him that told him, he said, Jaheim, if you'll ever get this right between the ears, you're going to have to buy some new pants. And Jaheim looked at this guy and said, new pants? Yeah, with deep pockets, because you're going to need it. If you'll ever get this right between the ears, if you'll ever get that part right, you're going to have to buy some pants with some deeper pockets because you're going to get paid. Well, the problem is he never got this right. That mental side of it, that want to, and he could transfer a million different times. He can go here, he can go there, and I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he goes to Georgia or Texas or Ole Miss or Mississippi State, and I hope he dominates. I hope he'll hit a switch because he's a very talented player that could play at the next level all day, every day. They don't make them defensive line like that. But he never could get it. I mean, he never could get it. I mean, last year it was injuries. He had a lot of injuries. But also, he lacks the want to. He doesn't have the want to.
Right. So I am saddened from a team perspective because when he was firing on all cylinders, he was good. He was great, but he didn't fire on all cylinders all the time. And that's the thing. See, this generation that we are experiencing in college football right now, I have taught kids this same age for the last 8 years, and it is a different animal. They are different than what we have been accustomed to. Whether they're attending Alabama or Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, or Vermont, or Virginia, or wherever, this is a different cat under different rules. And if we as fans don't adapt to the changing atmosphere and scene, we are going to be sorely disappointed on a regular basis. Because under this expanded playoff, most of the teams that get in are going to have 2 losses. Some are going to have 3 because they are some of these leagues are going to have 3-loss conference champions. And so, I expected Alabama to lose 1, maybe 2 games. I thought that Georgia, coming into the season, that they had 3 games they really had to look at, Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee. But as we progress now to South Carolina, I want to see how they reacted to the adversity they have faced defensively, because Alabama scored enough in the 17 minutes that it had to win this game. The offense is not the problem, is not the reason why we lost. And
it would have been nice to be able to run the football a little bit to kind of take away from some of the time of possession and give your defense a little bit of a more balance. But 84 yards of total rushing, whether last week we were subtracting that. I think there was 56 yards of rushing outside of Jalen Milroe. But Jalen Milroe's rushing yards count But I want to see more from that. Nick Sheridan was asked about that.
Yes.
That's the way that you can help a defense out. From an offensive standpoint, now this offense is going to be quick strike, right? I mean, they're going to score very, very quickly, and that stresses a defense. Time of possession, I was looking at it last week. They're not where they need to be.
No.
I mean,
you're going to need some continuity on offense that we haven't seen yet. Can they hit the big plays? Yes. I think maybe they've had one, maybe two drives all year where it was like 13, 15 play drives. We need more of those in the game because any defense that plays 76 snaps or more is not going to do well. You don't have the depth anymore.
Yeah, and some of that's self-inflicted, right? I mean, it is.
Yes.
I wanted to look up Alabama's time of possession. We're 108, and people say, well, that'll skew the data points. Well, I can just subtract, and we'll just do September and October. Let's see where Alabama was going into this game, because I think they were in the 90s. No, there was 70, and now they're at 108. 108 time of possession. One of the most penalized teams in the country, too, by the way, and those don't seem to be. I mean, that was a problem that kept drives alive, right? I mean, it kept moments. And I know a lot of people point out the number 2, that it's inexcusable. I mean, there's no excuse for that.
I bring that up, Ryan. Here's the thing. I believe you're allowed to have 85 players on your roster, right? Scholarship players.
Yes, you are.
So if you count the number 0, there are 100 different numbers you can use. And you never have to duplicate a number. And so get away from this. I mean, this is crazy. There is no reason that should ever be a reason to get a flag in any game at any level.
Greg, I think we're all agreeing with you. And you know who else is agreeing? Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah.
I mean, from a different context, but yes.
Yes. But so let's get out of that. And here's the other thing I liked about Kalen DeBoer. All right. Kalen DeBoer is an even-keeled guy. And even-keeled guys are not going to get too high and they're not going to get too low, and especially in public. We do not know, most of us do not know what goes on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And so he is going to hold his players accountable, but he also respects them. And
I mean, he may not look like a lunatic on the sidelines.
Right.
There's some coaches that do that, and that's effective. Other coaches,
and there's some coaches that do that that no longer coach.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've seen coaches lose their minds on the field.
I knew one around here for 17 years that I thought at one point was going to have an aneurysm on the sidelines.
Exactly.
I mean, that was a different fear. But I think one of the reasons why you saw Coach Saban tap out of this thing is because his system was not going to work. And we saw it drifting. I mean, we saw it in the Coach Saban era. And I know everybody goes back, well, Saban would have done it this way. We don't know how Saban would have done it.
No.
Saban admitted that his system was no longer working. He admitted that based on his words, based on his terminology. He said, when I hang it up, I'll know that I can no longer do it at the standard that I'm able to do it. His words. So apply that to what we're having. We don't know how Saban would have done it because he didn't do it. And I think the era is changing ever fast. Hey, Greg, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you. We'll be down there this weekend for the SC game. So I want to see Alabama get right defensively and make some improvements on the offensive time of possession production-wise, and we'll see how they do.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you, Greg. Thank you, man. And it will be a big game. It is hopefully a get-right game. Kalen DeBoer responds to something that Greg and Athens talked about because I saw a lot of fans wanting – All right, we welcome you right back into the game. Greg and Athens brought this up. Before I go right back to the phone calls, and we'll get Bubba in Northport a chance to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is sponsored by DanielMooreArt.com. DanielMooreArt.com. You can celebrate that special moment. When you look back at the Georgia win, you can find Ryan Williams and that print that was just released, Sabian Brown, still working on a preliminary sketch. But remember, all the stuff at Daniel Moore is 100% guaranteed satisfaction. So if you don't like the print, get your money back. Your chance to go and celebrate the legend, Nick Saban. Okay, good. 6 national titles, 9 SEC titles, and you can celebrate what Nick Saban gave the University of Alabama. But also let's go back to the comment here with Kalen DeBoer, because he's not one of those guys that's going to lose his cool. And he kind of addressed this a little bit. Listen to how he responded to the question, because fans want to see more from him as far as a level of frustration. Maybe they want to see him break a couple of headsets, throw a hat or two. He does from time to time, but not a lot publicly. Here's how Kalen DeBoer responded to that comment.
I wanted to see what? More frustration from you after a loss like the one on Saturday. Oh, I'm extremely frustrated. We all are, but we're not going to lose our cool over that. We understand, what happened, and a lot of what I see in the response, even in the locker room, I guess, are you talking like press conference afterwards or something? That's really the only time you could have seen me, I guess. I think that's me seeing what already is happening in 30 minutes, 20 minutes after the game's over. And I saw extreme frustration. I saw guys wanting to stick together, wanting to still do something special, believing in each other, expressing that. I had my part in there too, where, we understood, what happened, and that it's not up to our standard and how we had to proceed forward. And so, yeah, we are all extremely frustrated. But we aren't going to sit and lose our cool, because, I don't think that's the right way to go about it. There's a time and place for everything. And again, we're still early in the season. We left ourselves a little less wiggle room to achieve some of the goals we have, but those goals are still out there, and we need to just focus on what our whole mindset is always to improve every single day, and that's never going to change. And to improve, I think you got to have things in perspective, and focus on the right areas, and our whole team.
Welcome you right back into the game here in Tuscaloosa. Bubba's been waiting for an hour and 24 minutes. Then we're going to get to Jumbo, and then Anon in Florida, Super Joe as well. Super Joe may actually be sandwiched in there, but we're going to get to Bubba in Northport. Bubba, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
It's all well, my friend. I want to tell you again, that was a great show you did Saturday night. It was almost like the game, a Saturday night version of the game with all your callers calling in.
Well, I'll say this. I had fun, but I didn't have as much fun as I thought I was going to have when I volunteered to do it. I must tell you.
Well, yeah, right. I think the loss took a lot out of a lot. But, Corey Miller on his show made a point that he thought that the offense got away from their game plan, even though we were behind, just a little bit too quick. And I kind of agree with him, because if we can run the football effectively, their offense is sitting on the sideline.
I think you could have balanced it out a little bit. You could have balanced it out, but you didn't balance it out.
No, you didn't. And I think we got behind, and we got that sense of urgency that we got to air it out. But, far as I don't understand, and I'm not a coach, why they can't fix this defensive line problem. This has been going on for several years now. And I don't know why we can't fix it.
Well, I know defensive lineman is probably the hardest position to recruit. There's not enough of the caliber of players that it takes to play high-level football on the defensive line. But this has been a little bit of a problem. And, you're going through two different head coaches, and you look at that defensive front. So I don't know what the problem is, but I promise you this week we're going to have some guests on that maybe can help us identify where the problem is. Is it technique? Is it something that we're doing it internally? I don't have the answer to that.
Me neither. That's why I'm not a coach and just a fan. And I think your point about how the game has changed, as fans, we need to change with it, because we're so used of this 12-0, 13-1, 14-0, and winning national championships that we don't got spoiled. And that's not going to happen anymore.
Well, and a place like Vanderbilt can go out, which we've always kind of assumed, okay, Vanderbilt Yeah, they got some pretty rich alums. We see that on the baseball side of things. I mean, they probably spend more money on the baseball side of things than most programs. Go out here and, they do a lot of fully funded scholarships, which at Vanderbilt's pretty high quality education. But if you look at Vanderbilt, you combine with the transfer portal, going out, cleaning up their roster, adding, coaches that understand the players. It's easier. But we now have socialism in college football. We're spreading the wealth, man.
Right.
We're taking the have-nots and we're taking from the haves and saying, well, listen, we understand, but we're going to make this. If I was a non-Alabama fan, okay, if I was just a typical college football fan, I'd love the chaos because I think the TV ratings. And I almost wonder in a lot of ways, did the bureaucrats, the administrators of college football, did they sacrifice the overall health of the game to scratch our buddies in the TV's back? And I'm not blaming that. Alabama shouldn't have lost to Vanderbilt, okay? Shouldn't lose to them this year, shouldn't have lost to them, next year, the year after, 5 years from now. Vanderbilt's not a team that should be able to compete with the University of Alabama, but they were.
There's one little quick thing. I know you got to go. I'm not a big fan of a player scoring a touchdown and crossing the goal line backwards. I think that is poor sportsmanship, and that ain't who Alabama is. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
All right. Bubba, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you. And I think Malachi Moore pretty much said it on the apology statement that he did not live up to the standard that is created with that script A on his chest. I think he said it. We can echo that if it would make you feel better. No, he did not represent the standard that is Alabama Crimson Tide football.
I was talking about Ryan Williams when he caught that touchdown.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He ran into it backwards. And Malachi Moore, hey, he showed emotions. He apologized. Let's move on.
All right, Bubba. Appreciate you, man.
Roll Tide.
Right back to you. All right. Let's get right back to phone calls as we welcome you into the 3 o'clock hour number 2 right here. Cheez-It National Team of the Week, Vanderbilt Commodores. I literally just received that in my inbox. Wow. It's going to sting all week, is it not? Let's go to Jumbo. Jumbo, powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Hope all is well, Jumbo. Welcome into the game in T-Town.
Well, I'll tell you what. I hope Tuscaloosa Toyota does power me because I'm pissed off.
What's your reason of anger today for?
You have got to be kidding me that we went to Nashville with 75% of the stadium, our fans, and we lose to the worst cotton-picking team in the history of the SEC, Vanderbilt. There's no excuse for that. Defensively, I would bitch every one of them and put other people out there who wanted to play because Saturday they didn't show up. And you got to be kidding me that they killed our secondary like that when we played like we did against Georgia. And then running the ball all over us. That's a crock. I don't blame Malachi Moore for being pissed off. I would have done more than that. I think he would have had every right to do what he did, and I'm not dogging him out about it. I think he was doing it to show his emotion and to get that freaking defense fired up. I'm just not happy with this performance at all. And you know what? I'm going to say this, and it's probably going to piss a lot of people off. But if that had been Nick Saban coaching that team, we wouldn't have lost because he knew what he was going into, and he knew how to prepare the team because of just beating Georgia. Coach Saban was good at that, and that's the one thing I got against the board. And the defensive coordinator,
he could bring them down after a big win, right? Because he would have one of those old-fashioned Nick Saban rants. I mean, you got to give it to Coach Nick Saban. I mean, coming off a big win. And I think, in some ways, maybe we as media, I know they blamed everybody in the brother. I might as well take responsibility for the missed tackles as well. But there wasn't a lot of questions about Vanderbilt last week. There wasn't. All the questions were left over. Jamarcus Shepard pretty much said that during one of the media availability. He said, here we are Wednesday, and you guys are still talking about the Georgia game.
And what have I said for the last 2 or 3 years? Next game up. Forget about Tennessee. Forget about LSU, Auburn, Oklahoma. We got South Carolina coming in here this week. And I guarantee you, if they go to Bryant-Denny and play like they did Saturday, we're going to have another L. It's ridiculous. We didn't blitz none at all. Why? We did against Georgia, and look what happened. But we didn't blitz Saturday. This defense, I don't know what the heck they were thinking, but I'm telling you what now, I'm on with Malachi Moore. I got no problem with what he did, and sure enough, he took responsibility for it, but I think there was a reason behind it. And it's just – and then the dadgum, their football or their quarterback after the end of the game, he thanks the referees. He said thanks to the referees. I mean, what kind of crap is that? That's something the SEC ought to be looking into.
Well, and I'm not here to blame officials. I'm not. There were some mistakes, but there were some mistakes on Alabama's defense and probably the offensive side of the football too.
Yeah, we had a lot of penalties, man. I'm not happy with that either.
I mean, we're sitting here, and I know that, we're putting it all on the defense, as rightfully so, but you could also go back and say, well, if Elijah Pritchett blocks the guy that hits Jalen Milroe and the fumble's not there, then we're probably talking about a very disappointing outcome, but it's still a W. It wasn't.
I could take a loss to Tennessee or Auburn, but I can't take a loss to Vanderbilt. Not the worst team in SEC history. What a joke. I remember that loss 40 years ago, and I know exactly where I was at when that happened. I was here in Tuscaloosa, so I was here for that game. And I'm telling you right now, good God, how do you lose to a wimpy stool like Vanderbilt? I'm not giving them any credit. We gave them the freaking ball game. We just did not play defensively. Offense, you put 35 points on the road at an SEC school, then you should win the freaking ball game. So right now, this defense, I ain't happy with them. Coordinated either. And I honestly feel like Pete Golden's defense could have played them a lot better than what this guy's defense
I don't know
did.
if you want to stretch it out that far now.
Well, at least they beat South Carolina. So, and they lost to Kentucky, which I could take a loss to Kentucky because Kentucky's got a dang good football team. I'm not accepting this loss. This is worse than the LSU loss in 2019. I went hiding for 2 weeks for that thing, and I'm just not happy about this at all.
But Jumbo, and I'm gonna go ahead and caution you for just a minute. Now, I know you're not gonna want to hear this, Jumbo. Okay?
No, tell me.
All right,
tell me.
Are you sitting down?
Yeah, I'm sitting down.
It's not going to be the last one.
Well,
I mean, I'm not saying we play Vanderbilt again, but it could happen again. I think when you see it, and I'm not talking about the playoffs, I'm talking about SEC title game. I think whoever makes it's probably going to have multiple losses on their record. Jumbo, alarm clock. This is the new college football. I've been saying it for a couple of years now, and I didn't believe it. I would say it, and I didn't even believe my own words. Saturday, and I'm not talking about just Alabama and Vanderbilt, I'm talking about all of the above. When you look around college football, it is a big old jumbled up mess. Jumbled up mess. If you did not have an allegiance,
contributing factor to that?
I think it's bureaucrats pushing the ball down the field, kicking the ball, kicking the can down the road, and here we are.
I'm saying NIL and transfer portal. That's exactly what the problem is. These players were cutting up on the sideline, all happy and gung-ho. Oh, I'm getting $2,000, $3,000 for this game. You know what? Golly, I was so close to grabbing a bottle and just chugging it down, but I didn't. And you can ask my wife. I was pissed off. Unbelievable that we lose to a crappy school like Vanderbilt. It didn't put forth an effort. That on defense anyway. I'm not blaming the offense. I think, they had a lot of penalties and granted, Milroe got that sack and fumble, but gosh, dogs, man. And I actually made the comment, if the fans go to an Alabama game and the team don't show up to play, which is what happened Saturday with the defense, then why go to the ball game? If they're not going to give us best, why should we give them our best? So
Jumbo, I'm going to go back and repeat it. This is the new college football. You don't like it. I don't like it. There's nothing we can do about it.
Well, let's just hope that we get this fixed. And I know what
like
I
I said, I'm not blaming just that. Listen, you should lose to Vanderbilt regardless, okay? But this is the new college football.
Okay. I got that.
You know, the undefeated stuff, I mean, we saw it rarely in the Nick Saban era. Now, I don't think you're ever going to see it. I mean, a team that can run through the playoffs, you're not going to see it. Now, there's no excuse to losing to Vanderbilt. I'm not taking it, but I'm just saying from a standpoint of losing, you're now close to the NFL. Look at the NFL.
Yeah, I've seen some of the records. But like I said, I'd rather take a loss to Tennessee or Auburn than freaking.
It hurts. It hurts, Jumbo. I know it does, brother. I hear you. I'm with you.
I mean, I got the passion as a fan, and I know everybody else does too. But dadgummit, you know, I made all these comments, and you know what? I'm gonna stick to it. If we can get this fixed, we'll still win this thing. I still believe in this team. I believe in the coaching staff. I question why they didn't blitz. And I've never done that before. And I made a comment about Coach Saban, but I think Coach DeBoer got to realize that he's in a league that does not fool around. When it comes to Saturday afternoon or Thursday afternoon, Devon's playing on Thursday, the SEC is the most dominant conference in football. And if you don't have your big boy drawers on come Saturday, no matter who you're freaking playing, then you don't need to be out there on that field. And he's got to understand that this league means business, and when they put it on and they strap it up and they get out there between the lines, it's on. It's going to be a dogfight. And that's exactly what we let them do Saturday, and we let them do it to us.
I got you. Jumbo, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is sponsored by Daniel Moore. The bad and the ugly is sponsored by the performance of the Alabama defense. Do you have any good?
The only good is I woke up the next morning and went to church.
Okay. There you go.
The bad is the defense, the whole freaking defense.
All of them.
And
even
the
ugly, backups.
Even the back. Well, there wasn't many backups in there, but and the ugly's got to be the oh hogwash! I just had it. The penalties. Man, I swear, Ryan, you gonna have to come over here and probably talk me off the ridge because I'm just oh Lord have mercy. I'm so upset over this loss.
How did you react, Jumbo, at home?
You want me to put my wife on the phone and let her tell you?
No. Was it worse than Malachi Moore? I mean, Malachi, we saw his reaction in public spotlight. Did you do something more crazy?
I was stomping around and ramping and raging, and it took every strength I had not to say a cuss word, and I did not say one. But boy, I was ticked. Golly, I was mad. If everything I had in this house wasn't Alabama stuff, I'd have probably threw some of it. But I got so much Alabama stuff in here. I was just, golly.
I got you, Jumbo. Behave, man. I appreciate you calling in, Jumbo.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but this right now I'm just not a happy camper.
Right. Thank you, man. We appreciate it. Let's go to Anon down in Florida. Anon, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, how you doing today, man? Roll Tide.
Yeah, Roll Tide. It's good to hear from you.
Oh, likewise. Hey, I'm going to be a little less stressed than the other caller. Your caller you just had there.
Okay.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about anything at all. And to some of these Bama fans, I'm just going to say, killing DeBoer is not Nick Saban, and Nick Saban is not killing DeBoer. Number two, I don't have any problem with what Malachi Moore did. All he did was just kick the ball off the tee. He didn't run and charge at some play and hit him over the head.
I don't know, man. You hear some of our folks around here. Maybe I missed something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I think we're using him as the scapegoat. I think that's what we're kind of like. Okay, let's blame somebody. We got to blame somebody. All right, we're going to blame him. Is what he did it's unacceptable. It is, but he's apologized for it. And maybe there'll be some other repercussions.
It's just not normal, and not what we're accustomed to. But he didn't shoot anybody or anything like that. But and I don't even know if that was that even almost looks scripted as it can be. It just looks so fake, anyways. But anyways, I'm going to give you two viewpoints on this game. Okay. The first one being that Vanderbilt the offense they ran, the plan that the coach had, was exactly what Bill Parcells did to Buffalo Bills in that first Super Bowl they played them. It's just they took that ball and kept it for almost 10 minutes on the first drive. I don't know if you could remember that.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did, and they did it all game long. And obviously their whole plan was to keep the ball away from the Alabama offense, which it did a pretty good job.
It worked. I mean, 42 to 17, and there's some change in there that filled in the gaps. 42 minutes to 17 minutes.
Yeah, and
That's
the
tough.
problem with the problem with it is the Alabama coaching staff did not even realize that and react to it. If you looked at last night, I watched the Dallas Cowboys last night. Go back to their last drive.
And by the way, who won that game, Anon?
Oh, Dallas did. They with 2
I just
minutes
wanted
left,
you to say it. No, I knew who they won. I knew who won. That's my Cowboys, man. That's my bright
your
spot of the
Cowboys,
weekend,
right?
baby. I mean, that's my bright spot of the weekend.
So you had to see what they did on that last drive. That's exactly what Vanderbilt did. Easy, a throw here, a run there, no long balls, and, just inch by inch they moved down the field. And as they moved on, I'm sure those defensive players got frustrated. They got tired. It being the end of the game. And the other thing, too, is when Milroe fumbled that ball, just prior to that, it was pass. You had 9 minutes left in the game. All you needed was a touchdown to go ahead. You weren't behind 2 touchdowns. So why this sense of urgency to keep throwing the ball? And I said coming into this year, the 2 most reliable players are probably the 2 backs they had coming in.
Well, is it fair to say that the pressure on the defense, or lack thereof, has created a pressure? In other words, they know they're chasing points. I mean, right, 67 points in the last 6 quarters. 67 points.
I got that, but look at the game situation. You're down by 5, I think it was. You're at the 50-yard line. You had 2 or 3 passes. So instead of countering Vanderbilt, you just went the other way. If they're slowing down the game and they're eating up clock, well, then you eat up clock too. And you let their defense stay out there and let your defense rest. But they just kept throwing the ball. I mean, I don't get it. You could have easily handed it off. They weren't playing such great defense. Why throw? And maybe it's killing the Boers offense in Washington. Hey, let's just score as fast as we can. Games, you can't do that. Sometimes you can't do that because your defense needs to rest. And, I mean, as from a tactical standpoint, and I'll give you the other viewpoint. And I think one of the callers said it earlier. And I think you touched on it. He basically said, it's Vanderbilt. I'm going to wherever. I did the same thing. I'm going to take my daughter to the mall. I did watch it on the phone, but I don't know if this is real or not. I just think, I heard you touch on it earlier. Is this going to be too boring if Alabama keeps rolling over teams after and after? Do we need Buster Douglas to knock out Mike Tyson to create interest? I'm just saying. I'm not going to call it conspiracy, but I watch a lot of sports, and sometimes I see it. I see games where Alabama they don't want to show their hand, and the game becomes a lot tighter or more interesting. I mean, just think, everybody's going to be watching that South Carolina game. Not only Bama fans, but everybody in the country is going to be watching because they want to see if Vanderbilt's for real. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that everybody will be dialed in. It'll be an early game, so it'll be a lot of eyes on the University of Alabama. We're going to see how this team responds. I mean, and I think we'll know a little bit more about this defense and about this football team because we want to see them respond. We said this coming out of the Georgia game that we wanted to see how they respond against Vanderbilt. Well, we saw that. Now we need to see how they respond against South Carolina because the Vanderbilt didn't go our way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still have my, my thinking on that game. I mean, you just don't come out and beat Georgia like that. And then all of a sudden come out flat like that. I mean, I get it. I mean, there's a lot of new players on this Alabama team.
But you thought that you would have thought that would have given you confidence for your football team.
Well,
and it really did the opposite. I mean, it really kind of went to their head maybe a little bit. And maybe
I don't know if it went to their head. I just think, like I said, I told you before, I thought these are a whole bunch of new players on this team, and they saw something they probably are not used to seeing.
But think about it. I mean, maybe the offense bailed them out against Georgia. Sloppy play.
Well, yeah, in the second half for sure.
They did.
I mean, yeah. But I just thought this was a completely different offense that people forgot about, and what Vanderbilt was trying to do. And they just kept them on the field over and over. People get tired. I mean, these are a lot of young players, and, like I said, they're new. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of communication problems when, it heats up. And, listen, I'm not worried about it. I think Alabama's going to get it together. I mean, if this thing is for real, that means they're going to lose to South Carolina. If they win against South Carolina and Missouri easy, to me, I look at this Vanderbilt game as a big fraud. And like I said, Malachi kicking the ball, I mean, he knows better. He's been on the Saban for, 3 years now? He knows better. And
he has been.
To me, that...
But I know, and I gotta get to this break. But let me start. I'm gonna read off the NFL standings right now. I want to go to the AFC East. Buffalo Bills, pretty good football team, 3-2. Baltimore Ravens, 3-2. Houston, Texas, D'Amico Ryans, hello, 4-1. Kansas City Chiefs, 4-0. Washington Commanders, 4-1. Minnesota, 5-0. Atlanta, 3. Atlanta, as bad of a football team as that is, they're 3-2 at the top of the division. Seattle Seahawks, 3-2. When you look at the National Football League, it is what it is, man. I mean, we are now closer to the National Football League than we've ever been. We have parity in the game. Well, no, I mean, it's good if you don't have allegiance to a certain team. I mean, if you're just a casual fan and you're watching college football, we're going to bring in a lot of fans that we've probably never had before. All right, we welcome you right back into the game. Let's go to Super Joe. Super Joe, it's not very sweet, but it's inside the game. I hope all is well, man.
Man, you know it ain't sweet, but I'm going to say with all fairness, Malachi Moore, I can consider him say, he's just being a team leader, of course his reaction and stuff like that. You can't take losing lightly, especially to Vanderbilt, which is kind of like, sodomy. Because we have been beating that team for 40 years? Okay, we lost them in 1984, was the year after Coach Bryant passed away. All right. But then the time before that, when Vanderbilt beat it, because Coach Brown was an assistant coach at Vanderbilt during the old days. Did you know after he left the Alabama coach, he was on the Vanderbilt coaching staff?
Okay.
Did you even know that?
I did not.
Okay. Yeah. And so that's when Vanderbilt had beaten Alabama. Coach Bryant jumped up and cheered. But see, here's I'm okay, but that's all history. But at a time like that, when you've been beating a team for 40-something years, and all of a sudden, it's just like, I don't know, it's like all of a sudden Tyson Fury cannot handle fighting against, Adam Sandler. It's like Tyson Fury got knocked out by Adam Sandler. That's absurd. I mean, this was an absurd loss. This was a loss of blasphemy. That should have never happened. We could say that guy was like a Johnny Manziel. We can go in and say college football has changed, and yes, it has, and Coach Saban might have done the right thing, saying his way wasn't working anymore, so he did the right thing and got out while he was closely up on top. And, and yes, the torch got to change, and then at the same time, we got to realize that Kellen DeBoer isn't Coach Saban, but he probably showed more of the frustration behind closed doors. But then at the same time, it also appears that he took the loss a little casual. I say we're still a great team. Well, we didn't look nothing like that because our defense ain't supposed to have played that damn lousy. It was something that what was it? Was it a lack of preparation? Because our defense was not supposed to give up points like that. We did not lose to an undefeated Vanderbilt team. We did not lose to a favorite Vanderbilt team. This was a team that was not even ranked. Okay, well, pardon me if I can't sit here and stomach this, but I mean, we can get up here. I mean, and look away the Vanderbilt. Okay, I ain't blaming them for celebrating. I mean, carrying the goal out in the streets and out the stadium, out into the streets and dumping in the river. I mean, which was reckless, but I'll let the authorities in Tennessee deal with that.
No, I mean that's what happens when you beat the Script A, man. When you beat ALA, BAMA, that's what you do.
Yeah, that is what that's. Yeah, that is kind of what you do. But I'm saying like this though, let's get another loss. And let's just get let's go ahead, don't prepare for South Carolina. And I'm telling you right now, yeah, I know we might see a 3 conference champions, with 3 losses, but it shouldn't be Alabama because we really should have I mean, we should be out to assassinate every team that we play from now on out, because this was just the worst. This was just the word. This was like a poor excuse for a ranked team. We should be down. What we number 6 or 7?
We're number 7 in both polls.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's see here. If we don't straighten up, we're gonna drop further, because I'm telling you, we are known for defensive caliber school, which realizing Caleb DeBoer is offensive minded, but I'm just not I'm not stomaching. I'm still having a hard time stomaching this. Yeah, I know the transfer portal, new players, okay, players are getting paid, stuff like that. Coaches are losing authority. That's probably why Nick Saban got out of there, because he thought he saw the way it wasn't going to work, and players getting paid, and then the transfer portal, which means players are going to listen a whole lot lesser. And Coach Saban didn't want the headache, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. He's doing what he's doing, something what Curve Street doing.
Well,
that might be better off for him.
Coach Saban has to take a little bit of responsibility too. I mean, he kind of fired up that crowd when he said Vanderbilt is the only place in the SEC where we dominate their stadium. Whew, Coach.
Yeah, because 56-0. We did dominate their stadium, but that was a long time ago. But we didn't dominate their stadium. No. We went up. They treated us like with the guests that we ought to have been. And Jalen Milroe, played lights out, but the offense can't do it by itself. The defense and offense, you got to have a good team all the way around. But Vanderbilt beating us like that, I mean, it was just like, oh my goodness.
All right.
It's just like olive oil. It's just like olive oil, handling Bluto for Popeye. I mean, this is what I call a mother, father, and shame.
I got you.
I said in the clean cut way.
Yeah, no. I got you. I respect that. Thank you.
Yeah, but no, I'm just not. I mean, like I said, congratulations to Vanderbilt Commodores. Let the Commodores sing. But right now, I just feel like we better get this. We really better get this together quick, fast, in a hurry, because we go out there playing South Carolina like that, we ain't gonna make no playoffs. We're gonna play for something called a sit-you behind home bowl. That's what we're gonna be. That's what we're gonna be playing for.
I mean, so you're already out of a bowl game? I mean, you're already.
No, I'm talking. The losses are gonna pile up. We keep playing with that. We play our defense, play with that nonsense. Our losses are gonna pile up. Because our defense is gonna. I mean, our defense play like that. Our offense can't keep holding the rank like that. And just like if our defense being one side and our offense blocking, well, guess what? Someone's gonna prevent us from getting to where we need to go. And so, but they need to go ahead and have a come to Jesus meeting or something.
I got you.
Because I mean, I'm not gonna sit up there and I'm not gonna sit up there. Okay, I'm gonna say congratulations to Vanderbilt, but I'm not kissing they behind, because this was a game we should have never ever lost. But that's all right, though. I know college football has changed and stuff like that, and maybe I'm just not ready to accept the adjustment yet. Maybe just a new era in college football that we accept it. But yeah, I'm telling you right now, Kalen DeBoer I'm gonna tell you this. Now, Kalen DeBoer might not last 5 years, because his expectations are going to heck high. I believe.
Come on, I mean, we're 4 or 5 games into the tenure. You're already counting out Kalen DeBoer. Come on, Super Joe.
No, not necessarily. I'm talking about look.
I didn't realize you were this. Ryan. I mean, you're ready to quit on him this quick?
No. I said if this continues to happen, that's what I'm saying. I ain't saying get him out of here now. Now maybe some other fans are.
Okay, I got you.
Let's just say this is an early wake up. This is just a wake up call, and right now this is it. Because now we're gonna see if Coach Kellen DeBoer can really coach this kind of atmosphere. Because this is the SEC, and right now you in Alabama, and we want to kick tail continuously, not start getting our tail kicked by no rank opponents. Because right now we might as well just say this is the day Bill Cosby whooped on Dante Waller in Tuscaloosa.
Woo.
Which means
that's not good. That's not good. All right, Super Joe, I appreciate you, man. Roll Tide.
All right.
Hey, we'll line up phone calls. We actually have a line available, 205 Chiefs R&R Cigars, 2703 6th Street. Let's go to Barrett Sallee. Barrett, welcome to Tuscaloosa. Hope all is well.
I'm doing well. Probably better than some people in that city, in that state. Man, what the hell happened?
We're not really sure. But it's whatever it is, whenever we find out, it's Malachi Moore's fault.
Oh, everything's Malachi Moore's fault, although that was inexcusable. But
it was. I mean, it was a mistake.
It's not. It's not all his fault. It's mostly coaching.
All right, so give me your big takeaway, because we do the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is sponsored by Daniel Moore. The bad and the ugly this week is sponsored by the Alabama defense. What do you think? I mean, give me your takeaway from that game.
Man, I guess the good is Jalen, but even that's a stretch. The bad and the ugly, look, I said this on College Football Smothered and Covered, and I know Alabama fans hated the comparison, and I use it kind of in jest, but are we sure it's not Kalen DeBose?
100% we are. Yeah. Mike DeBose he wasn't ready for this job.
Well, I'm not saying that Kalen is going to tank like Mike DeBose, but when you lay that kind of egg, I think it should raise some eyebrows. And I said, look, Kalen DeBoer's never had to sustain success at a reasonably high level, right? And that's to his credit, because he jumps from job to job and gets the best, has ascended so quickly that he hasn't been in a situation where he's like, okay, now I got to, figure out how to keep these players going in the right direction, because he gets new players. He gets a better job. This is the small sample size that we have. It did not work at all. Ryan, Vandy looked better in every facet of the game. You put those two teams in a vacuum, put neutral colors on each team. Vanderbilt looked like the much better and much more complete team in every aspect. Nick Saban had some of those issues in games like Georgia State or Georgia Southern, where it's like, okay, things are not going great, but we're going to fix it at halftime and move on. That it didn't even look like that was possible in that game.
When you look at this game, where does Alabama go from here? When you look at it, because the defense now has been exposed. You've got 67 points in the last 6 quarters of football, 4 against Vanderbilt and 2 against Georgia. They've given up 67 points. Your thoughts?
Well, the depth isn't there. I think they have been Kirby, and then last week against Vandy for 6 quarters, Alabama has had its speed used against it in just masterful form. And when you're constantly running circles around yourselves, you get tired. Then the depth issue gets exposed. You're right. The secondary is suspect, and I'd say that's probably being nice to it. And Womack hadn't fixed it, and it's hard to sort of adjust on the fly when you don't have depth, because you can't create depth during the season. So this is, I guess this is just the identity, right? Where, Alabama's had this way in the past where you just have to be adequate defensively. They haven't been that at all the last couple of weeks. So, it's hard to win in the SEC. And I said this, look, 9-3 for Alabama this year was okay. Not acceptable, but, there's no blueprint for replacing State, right? But 9-3 with the loss to Vandy as one of the 3, that's a whole different animal. And it's the defense. The defense has, I think burdens the most of that issue, because it's been bad.
All right. When you look at the world of college football, because we saw a lot of major upsets throughout the weekend. Now, I'm taking not just the Alabama Vanderbilt, because losing to them is never excusable. Okay, you lose to Vanderbilt, other than Auburn and Mississippi State, they're one of the worst teams in the SEC. Fair enough?
Yes, absolutely. Mississippi State is awful, and Auburn's not much better, but a little bit better.
Yeah, the bottom 4 is almost as hard as the top 4 in the 16. You're trying to juggle it up. But when you look around the world of college football, Barrett, I think this is the new college football. I think we're as close to the NFL parity as we've ever been.
Yeah, it is. And Kirby kind of referenced this the other day. It's like, look, the top end, the great players, there's going to be a couple that bounce around for money or whatever, but it's the middle tier the depth that Alabama's used to having and Ohio State's used to having and Georgia's used to having. Those players are elite players that go find somewhere to play and showcase their strengths, right? So you're not going to have situations like Alabama had in the mid-2010s where, your two deep could start basically anywhere. You're just not going to have that because the second teamers are going to go start somewhere because they can. So, yeah, I mean, it's a different world out there, and it is the new normal. And it has, I think, worked both ways in terms of the lower-level programs. The guys who develop, like Diego Pavia, go to a better program and succeed. But the players that develop and have the strength and conditioning that are good enough to start somewhere but are blocked by whoever at Alabama, Georgia, whatever, go find somewhere else to play and, generally speaking, become stars. So it's condensed. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, think about this. And I said this earlier. And I don't know. Maybe this would be a better question for Chuck Dunlap at the SEC. But if we ever made it to the first Saturday in October and we only have one team undefeated in the SEC, has that ever happened before?
If it has happened, it would be probably like before LSU 2003, right? Because remember back in when Mark Richt first got the job at Georgia, the Bulldogs were really good that one year, but I guess it was when Miami and Ohio State went to the national championship and the SEC really wasn't all that it's cracked up to be back then. I know that seems impossible, but you and I are old enough to remember when the SEC really wasn't viewed like it's viewed now. So I'd imagine it had to be either 2002 or before, but it hadn't happened often.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. But overall, Barrett, can you look at and I call it socialism in college football. You can call it whatever you want because we spread the wealth, right? We've spread it across a lot of different teams. And what will it look like in the playoffs?
I keep thinking that we're going to have the ability to have some more upsets. But I just don't think that's the case because pretty much all of those teams are going to have the same issue, right? It's one of those things. Okay, well, Vandy with Diego Pavia goes and beats Alabama. It's rare that it happens, but you had players move up that were at lesser programs. The depth issue, and Alabama's elite players and Georgia's elite players and Clemson's elite players, they're all staying, right? And the depth has chipped away beneath them, but every team has that issue or will have that issue in the playoff.
And that's where we're at. And you mentioned Kirby Smart a couple of minutes ago. If there's one team in the country that should not be concerned about depth, it should be Kirby. But the climate of college football has set up even the best roster in college football to have depth issues.
It's remarkable. I mean, you're 100. It's remarkable that we've gotten to this point. And look, the fact that people wanted the 12-team playoff, they got it. They wanted more parity. They thought Cinderella would be great. I always thought that was not the case. Am I 100% sold on that now? Not as much as I was before because of exactly what we're talking about.
When we get to the playoffs, when we get to your city, January the 20th, in your town, what will it look like?
I could make the case at this point that you could probably name 20 teams that legitimately could have a shot to make the playoff, and probably 8 right now that could win it based on the flaws that we've seen from pretty much everybody around the country.
That's the issue. All right, and we're talking about playoffs, but let me back up and talk about the SEC title game. Do you think we'll have 2 representatives from each side? And you may have one team that has one loss, but you could have multiple losses as an SEC representative in the SEC title game.
You could, yeah. And I think right now, would it surprise you all that much if Texas A&M is a 1-loss team in terms of conference losses, but has 2, considering the Notre Dame one? Texas A&M schedule is so easy from here on out. And I think you could have a 2-loss Texas A&M team, and you could have a 2-loss Georgia team. You could have right now, no team in the SEC is going undefeated. None.
0.
I firmly believe that. And obviously there's only one left, but I think you're looking at multiple SEC. There's going to be at least one team with 2 SEC losses in the SEC championship game.
That's where we're at. Outkick.com. You can find Barrett Sallee's work there. You can also find him on Smothered and Covered. You can find him on SiriusXM Channel 84. How much of your show yesterday was dedicated to Alabama Vanderbilt on Sunday morning?
Oh, quite a bit. It dominated it, but so much went on outside that game around the country that there was a little bit more, but no, Alabama and Vanderbilt took the majority of the time up. There's no doubt.
It's taken a lot of our attention too, but
I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, last week, well, you know what it is? It's the football gods making us talk about Vanderbilt because last week we rarely. I mean, maybe it's our fault that Alabama went up there and lost because we focus maybe 30 minutes combined on Vanderbilt.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I blame you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I tell you what, I'm going to do a better job tackling this week. Start Saturday at 11 a.m. I will do a better job, I promise you.
Not to bring up Tennessee, but it's like Tennessee. I will give my all for Tennessee today.
Yeah, me too. Hey, Barrett, have a good rest of your day, man. We're in meltdown mode over here, so yeah, we're on. So.
Well, have fun. Appreciate it, Ryan.
Yeah. I thought about calling in sick today. I really did. I don't. I mean,
you and me both, Ryan.
Yeah, Jackson, would you have been able to handle this?
I could have done it myself.
Okay.
I would not be as nice as you're being to the Tide right now, if I'm honest.
I know, but you spent your money to go to Nashville. I was smart.
This ain't a home.
All right, we welcome you right back into the game. Martin Houston, 1992 national champion, winning fullback at the University of Alabama. Martin Houston, I hope your show was okay. You got off to a really good start this morning. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
The show was great, man. Glad to be in the game.
It is. Martin, I want to ask you a couple of different things. As a former player, mild mannerism coaches, do they get the same attention from players as the vocal lunatics, the ones who throw everything? And, I mean, what gets your attention as a player?
Respect is earned. You just have to be consistent.
Okay.
You can be, leadership comes in all forms and fashions, Ryan. And it's about influence, literally. And if you are the rah-rah, yell, scream type of guy, part of your team you'll lose them because of that. Other part of the team will respond to it. If you're a quiet guy, you may have a little bit of both, but the key is leadership is judged in crisis, Ryan. Anybody can lead when there's not crisis. And I'm going to tell you, man, I got to listen to more of your show today than I have in a while. Your show has told me why our culture and our society is where it's at. The condition it's in. I've heard caller after caller, and by the time I get off, I'm probably going to be the butt of your show a little bit. Because I have sat here and listened to people say I'm okay with what Malachi did. Let me tell you something. I'm fine with his passion, 100%. Man, show your fire. Hate getting beat. Represent that Crimson jersey with a nasty passion, and even have room to get a stupid penalty. But that's not what Malachi did. After that, Malachi disrespected his coordinator and his coach. Now, they can sugarcoat it, whatever. They didn't send number 18 out there on the field for nothing. He was sent out there to substitute. And he was sent off the field by the player. Then the defensive coordinator came out, and he was sent off the field by Malachi. Malachi has done what he should have done in terms of apologizing, and I'm fine with that. But for us as fans to come up here, Ryan, the same people who are calling your show sit around at their houses and complain about the disrespect of young people and how they don't have respect for authority and respect for our country and respect for our flag. Are you telling me that Crimson jersey justifies it? No. I mean, man, hey, this is what I want, Ryan. I would have been much happier if Malachi had got a penalty when he was getting beat on the 4th and 1, or when he was getting beat on the 3rd down on the last drive. Not after he couldn't do anything. What was that fire in the first quarter when they drove it down our throats, or the second quarter when they drove it down our throats, or the third quarter when they were driving up? Where was that fire? That's when he should be getting upset. He is the leader and the captain. Now, here's the thing. I love the passion. And I thank God for Malachi, because if it wasn't for Malachi, Ryan, we wouldn't even be talking about this season. Right now, we would have been dealing with this type of stuff from game one. Malachi, Jalen Milroe, Tyler Booker held this program together. And for that, you know what I mean? I'm forever grateful. But for your callers and people to call my show and sit here and say he was justified, kicking the ball, sure. Penalty, sure. But when your coach tells you to come off the field and you wave them off.
So as a former player, what would you like? What would have pleased you? Obviously, to not do it, I get that. But do you feel like that Kalen DeBoer is justified by saying that it? Because it doesn't sound like a suspension's coming down.
I'm fine with everything as far as the judgment and the punishment. I don't know what the punishment is, and that's not my. I don't need a pound of flesh. I'm not even on Malachi, Ryan. Malachi did what he did in the heat of passion. I'm talking to your fans and to those that call my show. They are saying that now they may just be talking about kicking the ball and getting the penalty. But what he did to his coach, Ryan, what he did to that team. Now I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't happy at the press conference with DeBoer's response. Today's response, I'm like, yes, he has command. He is in control of this program. I'm cool with it. What I'm saying, Ryan, is are your callers saying that what Malachi did to wave his coach off as the captain of the team is okay? Because, Ryan, here's the thing. When somebody is following you, do they get to choose when they obey?
So you're more upset at that than the other unsportsmanlike conduct.
Oh, the other stuff is part of football.
Okay.
I mean, you do some stupid stuff in the heat of the moment, but that wasn't when he looked and he made a choice like pushing that guy's head down and kicking the ball. Man, that's just reaction. That's like But when a coach sends a player out and you say go back off, and then the coordinator says, come off, and you tell him no. And the head coach waits, and you say no. That is beyond. But listen, I'm good with his response, Ryan. I'm okay with DeBoer's response. I'm saying that your fans are making a decision to pick up the phone after thought and say, hey, I'm good with what he did. Now, are they talking about just the kicking, the penalty, or the disrespect? Because the disrespect.
I don't think they're accepting the penalty. I think they're just understanding that this is the time. Because is it fair for me to say, in a current? Because I understand when people say, well, Saban would have did this, or Coach Stallings would have did this, or Coach Bryant would have done this. Well, here's the issue.
They don't know what they would have done.
But here's the thing. Nick Saban could have did it, and he could have enforced it because he had 3 other 5-stars over here. You bench Malachi Ryan, in this game. I don't know if you can beat South Carolina.
Ryan, everybody winning makes people forget.
Amen.
We had players breaking laws, breaking all types of stuff, and Nick Saban didn't do squat.
You're right.
Everybody say what Nick Saban would have done and comparing. There was times when Nick Saban should have done more and he didn't. There was times where he went overboard. Listen. The reality of it is, Ryan, we were winning and wasn't losing to Vanderbilt.
Sure.
If we had won that game, nobody's compared. To say that what Nick Saban would have done, we don't know how this team is going to respond. Here's what I'm going to tell you, Ryan. I'm going to give you my opinion at the end of the season to figure out if Kalen DeBoer's system works or not. Because having it happen happens. I mean, I've raised kids, Ryan, and I've raised my kids with passion. I've raised my kids with raising my voice. I've raised my kids with silence. There have been times where they disrespected me or responded differently than I wanted. How I handled that determined whether that behavior continued. You see what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, sure.
This happening, that's what I'm saying. I'm not upset with Malachi. I'm not upset with him in the sense of it happened. And then he came out and he said, dude, he immediately realized he had done wrong. If the question is, how does Kalen DeBoer handle this, Ryan, with his team? Because if this is not handled correctly, spirals out of control. Handled correctly, the team grows from it. Nick Saban did things both ways. People forget, Ryan, there were so many times in the past, man, that I can remember where people called our shows going, man, they need to suspend it. They need to do this. They need to do this. And we don't know what Nick Saban did and how he handled it. But how a person reacts publicly on a national television when they're dealing with controversy, Coach DeBoer chose not to embarrass his greatest asset. Coach DeBoer could have just went off on Malachi. And what do you think happens to that team? If he could lose it then.
He could have.
He chose to be calm. Now, I wasn't satisfied with his response on Saturday, but I was anxious to see his response today. And he took a stronger stance and said, we will handle it internally. All right, Coach. And then he said, let me tell y'all, then he got his players back. That's what the Alabama fans need to be talking about with Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer has Malachi Moore's back today. Nick Saban threw Jalen Hurts and other guys under the bus publicly. He threw Jalen Milroe under the bus last year. Nobody was talking about that. If it wasn't for Jalen Hurts' parents, if it wasn't for Jalen Milroe's parents, Nick Saban would have lost a lot more games the last few years. But Kalen DeBoer has Malachi's back, and he's going to address it because Malachi loves this program, and it was out of passion, but he was disrespectful. And I'm glad that they're dealing with it, and how well they deal with it will determine whether this team goes on, Ryan. To pick back up, the same team that lost to Vanderbilt is the same team that beat Georgia like they stole something. People who have not played the game don't get that.
How much do you think the Georgia game, let's say if this Vanderbilt game was 2 weeks ago instead of where it was at from the Georgia win, how much do you think the Georgia win impacted the performance at Vanderbilt?
I don't know that it did, Ryan.
Okay.
I know a lot of people saying it's NIL. A lot of people saying it's this. Let me tell you what I thought. And we can talk about the offense. I don't get people who are saying we should do something different on offense, Ryan. We threw the ball 24 times. We ran it 21. We didn't have a chance to run the ball. I think this coaching staff came in with the full intentions of running the ball a lot more. But we were chasing points. And let me say this really quick, Ryan. When I played football, all I heard was, we need to throw the ball more. We need to throw the ball more. We need to throw the ball more. Right? That's all we heard. That's all. Oh, my goodness, that's all we heard. Well, why didn't we throw the ball more? Because we had a defense that caused the offensive coach to do what? We had a defensive-minded coach and Coach Stallings who told the coordinator, when we got 17 points, call off the dog. Well, we're now on the other side. Our defense isn't as strong, and we have an offensive-minded coach that says what? Get the point. What happened in the Georgia game, Ryan, when we tried to not do our game plan and play our type of football on the offensive side of the ball? When we tried to be something else on offense that we were going to run the ball.
Good point.
You can't just run the ball because you want to run it. You have a system that you practice. And our offense, it goes through our quarterback, his legs and his arms. Not just his legs, not just his arms. And if you get out of that, it's hard to get back into it. And on top of that, what did we do that entire game, Ryan? We chased points. We were behind by 2 touchdowns after 3 plays. So we had to get points. Ryan, if we get 2 stops in that game, just 2 stops, 2 punts. 2 punts, Ryan, we score 49 points.
All right.
The problem had nothing to do with when you score the way we score, you don't get to run the ball. When Ryan Williams catches a pass with his body out of bounds and stays in bounds and goes 70 yards, you don't get to run the ball anymore. We only had 45 plays. How are we supposed to keep running it? And then to your point, Ryan, I don't think it's NIL. The beat down Saturday from an Alabama standpoint, I don't think it was NIL. I don't think it was a lack of focus. I don't think it was portal. I don't think it was depth. I don't think it was youth. Okay? We went into a game and we had a coach who said going into Vanderbilt is the only place it's easy to play. Right?
We did.
The former coach said that.
He did.
Well, which team did he coach last year? Alabama, right?
Yeah.
So if that was his mindset, what did his players from that team think?
Oh,
this is Vanderbilt. They think this is Vanderbilt.
Coach Saban, you're getting a little blame here. You're not immune to this. Okay, I see where Martin's going. I got you.
This is Vanderbilt. Oh, guys, we're going to play Vanderbilt, and this was everybody keeps saying a middle school scheme. This was not a middle school offense. It was a triple option offense that people don't run. But this dude can flat out coach this offense. Ryan, they ran the ball on the dive. They ran play action. They ran the option to the quarterback. They ran the option pitch to the running back. They ran the option where you throw it to the wide receiver. They ran shuttle pass. They ran guys. The play we still haven't stopped, Ryan. Go back and look how many times the wide receiver came from the backside of the formation behind the line of scrimmage out in the flat to be wide open. That was not now the philosophy of triple option is middle school. The execution and the scheme, big time. Tim Beck will be he will take this offense because if it makes a Vanderbilt as good as the number 1 team in the country, why wouldn't a Florida? Why wouldn't some of these middle-of-the-road teams start doing it who have more talent? Oh, yeah, by the way, this isn't your mom and daddy's Vanderbilt.
You had a ton of
how many guys did Vanderbilt have on that team that would be starting for Alabama? That's never been the case. Usually when we played that game, Ryan, there wasn't anybody on that other side of the ball. You say, I'd like to have him. He could play at Alabama. There was guys that we said that after that game. So I don't think it was I think Womack just you can't triple option 4-2-5 doesn't stop it. It just don't. You have to change your base formation for 2 reasons. One is you don't get the look in practice that you need. That's why you have scout teams, right? So you have to have somebody that can give you the look, and Alabama didn't have that. And number 2, Ryan, the reason I say that about Malachi, did you see anybody get mad when they were getting ran over? Show me one guy that got upset.
It would be very difficult to point that out. I don't think so.
That's what I'm talking about. I didn't see anybody mad or it was like I didn't see the coaches upset with the scheme.
And going back to this, I mean, I saw right the opposite, which is, the Malachi Moore situation is certainly within a conversation. But when you go back and look at the cameras, when they panned it over to the sidelines, when Vanderbilt was handed it to Alabama, we had a few players that looked like they were kind of enjoying it, laughing and cutting up, and I'm going, whoa, wow.
You know why? Because they believe the message that their former coach said. It's Vanderbilt and it's easy. And that's not the same Vanderbilt team. Here's the question I have, Ron. I know you're the host, but can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, let's think about this. Nick Saban took over a team, and everybody says how bad the program was. But that was a 10-win team the year before, right?
It was.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And Nick Saban only added one class a year later in that same group. His only undefeated team was seniors that Mike Shula coached until COVID. The only time he's ever had a team be mentally tough enough to win a whole season was Mike Shula's players as seniors. Even though there was a lot of other guys in there, the senior leadership mattered. But here's the question. Was the talent gap any greater with Alabama, Nick Saban's first year, and La Monroe, or a Vanderbilt team with transfer portal and Alabama losing what they lost? Is the gap really that much different? Because everybody's saying it. And here's the question, Ryan. Do you think La Monroe's team in their execution, if you played it multiple times, would beat Alabama ever again? I think if we played that Vanderbilt team again, Ryan, I'm not sure they couldn't win some. We're the better team. But that team was not a slouch. That team was well coached. They were physical. They executed. They didn't make mistakes. They were the better team that day. And I know it's Vanderbilt, but we say that like teams are the same as they've always been. This is the first time, Ryan, I think them, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking, but I have to get it out. And if you go back, when did Alabama's dominance end under Bear?
79, 80.
When they went away from 100 scholarships.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, true.
Right. So what happened when they went away from 100 scholarships, Ryan? What happened?
It drifted.
Talented guys went to other schools.
They did.
And it closed the gap, right? That means that the bottom tier teams now, Auburn, all of a sudden, we're getting guys that used to be standing on the sideline at Alabama, right?
Absolutely.
And so then all of a sudden, Auburn in the 80s was able to beat Alabama. And it wasn't just because it wasn't Coach Bryant. It was because some of the guys that used to be in Tuscaloosa were now at Auburn. Well, now what do we have, Ryan? We have guys that used to be on our sideline standing on Vanderbilt's sideline.
And I'm just about out of time right here, Martin, because I'm at 25 after, so I got to get to this break. But I'll let you finish this thought.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying that's the big thing, that the teams and the talents are much closer. We're in the new NFL world where anybody can beat anybody. And I heard you earlier say, Ryan, when was the first time we had everybody but one SEC school? Ryan, how many teams in the Big Ten and the Big 12 the Big Ten and the SEC are undefeated right now?
Don't know anything about the Big Ten as far as just offhand. I mean, I know one team in the SEC, but
I think it's Ohio State. Has Oregon lost?
No, I don't think so.
They almost lost. That's right. They got close to losing.
Yeah.
So after this weekend, Ryan, I think you'll have two teams. If Texas wins,
so you got Indiana too. We forget about Indiana.
Yeah. There you go. Who knows? But what my point, though, Ryan, is of all of the top 10 teams and all of this, there's only like 3 of the traditional helmet teams of the last 20, 25 years that's undefeated. All the rest have lost at least once, if not multiple times. And look at the beating. Kentucky almost beats Georgia. Georgia beats Alabama. Vanderbilt beats Alabama. Alabama beats, it. And then Ole Miss loses to Kentucky, and South Carolina loses to Kentucky loses to South Carolina. Ole Miss kills South Carolina. It's what everybody wanted. It's parity. And Everybody's standing for it. Only people hating it are us, Georgia.
Oh yeah, the top.
We're the only ones hating.
Yeah.
We're the only ones hating it.
All right, but I'm gonna ask it in literally, if you can do this in about 30 seconds.
I can.
Do you believe they can flip the script?
Absolutely. I'm of the mindset, right? Now we're gonna have to do something different. We can't do the same thing we did Saturday. Kane Womack has to show me that he can adjust. He has to show me that he has to get out of his comfort zone. If we run up against this again, which we will, especially against Auburn. Hugh Freeze is practicing this already. But we will have to run blitz and not just play a standard 4-2 if we run against the triple option, read option type of offense. But, yes, I think the same team that showed up against Georgia in the first half is still there. I think how DeBoer handles this Malachi Moore thing, I think this team rebounds, Ryan, and we see what we thought we were going to see. Defense has to get better. Offense, I think, is fine.
All right. You and I talked about Jihad Campbell on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you some videos. I want you to look at them and just tell me your thoughts. Because,
yeah.
Yeah, there's one play on the sidelines. There is no way that you can take that bad of an angle.
Yeah, where he just ran by the guy?
Oh, yeah. Just didn't even like he went. No, not just ran by him. He ran in front of him.
Yeah.
He ran in front of him.
Yeah. And missed him by like a foot.
And don't do it. I'm trying to be nice here. I'm trying to.
I saw it.
I saw
it live.
I'm looking at a video and I'm going, "Where's the want to? Where's the want to?"
Going back to what you were saying about the camera panning the sidelines, you both touched on it. There were quite a number of times when they did that, and I just saw blank stares on everybody's face. There was no fire anywhere.
Maybe they were waiting for the offense to bail them out. Maybe that's what it was. But
they were. It was Ryan.
Hey, can Ryan Williams come in again, please? And listen, if we had the toughness on defense, I mean, Ryan Williams got the absolute dog snot, and that's a North Alabama term, snot knocked out of him, okay? He wouldn't even lay there. He had too much pride to even lay there. He just jumped up and
he grabbed him.
Yeah,
it hurt because he grabbed it. And then he was like, you don't get
No, you don't get you're not getting that over me. I'm up. I'm going right back to that huddle. Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, it hurts. I got to take a minute, but maybe he could teach our linebackers how to be a little bit on the tough side. Hey, Martin Houston, you'll hear him tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., man. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day.
Hey, Ryan, can I quickly just tell the listeners, mark the date, December 3rd. Live to Lead, Abundance Mindset, John Maxwell, John Gordon, Malcolm Gladwell, and a lot more leadership event that my company in town. Love the opportunity. Check the website. I'll be giving them more information.
Let's continue taking phone calls. I want to remind you about Nuke's Eatery. You know, Monday, generally, I love to be able to eat at Nuke's Eatery because it's close to the campus, right? I'm already in the football building. We get there at 11:30. We have a first press conference with one of the coordinators, and then the other coordinator talks immediately following the other coordinator. So you have 11:30, 11:45, and then Kalen DeBoer. By the way, I want to put this on record now. I know it doesn't win games, but Kalen DeBoer is always on time. Today he was actually early. In 17 years of covering Coach Saban, I never saw him early. I'm just saying there's a level of attention to detail now. It's maybe
he's punctual. Punctual.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we're 6 national titles not there yet, but I just want to, from a media perspective, because I used to have to sing Jingle Bells on Wednesday evening waiting on Coach Saban to come in for practice, and it would be like 5:45, and it might be 6:15, it might be 6:30. We extended the show. Now, Jackson, can you think about the miserable that I went through every Wednesday? To think about, well, you don't know when the press conference. So I appreciate.
Oh, I understand how hectic it is when we're trying to get the Kalen DeBoer audio going through here.
All right, here we go. Let's go to Robert in Brookwood. Robert, good afternoon, sir. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
How are you, sir?
Not worth a flip.
Oh, it's a great day. The day that the Lord hath made, let us rejoice.
And we are. We are. I just watched some clips just a couple of minutes ago. Okay. Our biggest problem on the defensive side of the football is linebackers. I mean, we take a lot of bad angles, and we don't have a lot of toughness.
Who's the linebacker coach?
That would be Kane Womack.
Yeah. Those same linebackers were pretty good last year, were they not?
They were.
Problem ain't necessarily the secondary. They doing all they can.
Do you think they're still learning?
I don't know, Ryan. I just don't know if this 4-2-5 or whatever it is going to work in the SEC. You just got to learn to make adjustments. I feel a little better today than I did Saturday night. I mean, I really didn't even think about it yesterday. I had a lot of stuff going on, but this is a big week in Alabama divorce history, because if they can turn it around, make a great defensive performance this weekend, they'll beat Tennessee. If they struggle South Carolina or, God forbid, lose, they're not going to beat Tennessee. They're not going to win many more on their schedule. I mean, we don't want this to be the Pac-12. We don't want 56-49 games every week. Nobody's worried about the offense, which in years past we always wanted the offense. Well, we got one, and the defense has fell off. We just hope this is a one-game apparition. When we saw it, I know the second half of Georgia, but I don't know. It was the worst and sorry. I'm just going to say it's the sorriest defense performance I've ever saw at Alabama. And I'm talking about to a lot of coaches, Naeem Shula and all those. This was just no adjustments. Jumbo had a great call. Good to hear him on fire. That the defensive linebackers could not get a sack, could not. They come close a few times. But you said something, or maybe it was Houston Martin, but there were a lot of plays though that Vanderbilt made. That's like that throw he made in the end zone where he got past Malachi. The guy just reached out and grabbed it. Usually nobody makes that catch. Everybody's due their day. You know me, I can't stand the SEC, but I've always rooted for Vandy. I don't want to lose to them, but let them have their celebration. They don't come around much. This is what people are saying. Now, they're saying, well, we lost to the worst program in the history of the SEC. That's true. But you better hope Vanderbilt wins some games, and this ain't their only win for the rest of the year, because then it's going to be a bad loss. If they make 6-6 or 7-5, not that bad of a loss. So the more they win, you said it before in the past, when we lose a game to somebody, the more they win, the better it is. It's not considered really a bad loss. So I wish Vanderbilt well the rest of the year. Maybe they'll win a few, and this won't be such a horrible loss. But it was just their day. It wasn't our day. It was a lot of hangover. I was guilty of it. I was still talking about Georgia all the way up to Friday. One game at a time, as Jumbo always taught me. That's what we got to do. But the key is this week. We got to rebound defensively. If we don't, it's going to be a long year.
And Jackson and I were talking about this during the break, and he said, well, why are you not overreacting? Well, I want to go through this week. I want to see how this team responds.
Good point.
And next Monday, if we're doing a good, bad, and ugly, and we got more bad and ugly than we do good, then it's going to be a long, long season, because we'll have to load the buses. We'll have to go to Tennessee with this defense. And like I said, every time you see James Burnip out there punting, that's a bad thing. It's always a bad thing when you got your punter out there, okay? But in our case, it could be a disaster. I never want to see James Burnip on that field again.
Yeah.
Because that puts us at a disadvantage.
Well, he had one punt that was really good.
No,
that
60-something yards, but I'm just talking about on the field in general.
Oh, 100%.
Because if we have to punt, we're chasing points, baby. The way that this defense is playing right now, we're chasing points on every possession.
Yeah, that was Mark brought a good point, 24 passes, 21 runs. We had callers griping we didn't run enough. We was playing from behind. And think about it. We had the ball a little over 18 minutes, scored 35 points. We'd have had at least 23 or 24. That's two or three, possibly more touchdowns. The difference in the game was the interception. That brought it back, the fumble. But it's just no excuse with 2:33 to go. You cut it to 40-35, and you can't get the ball back. You got 3 timeouts and a 2-minute warning, and the defense just couldn't stop. That's just what was the most disappointing to me was the last drive. And remind me, Ryan, that last year before, when we had Golden and all in, This has been going on. It's not just this year. This has been going on 3 or 4 years. We can't get people off the field when we need to get them.
So it's a personnel problem then.
I don't know, brother, but this ain't the first year this has happened. It's been going on for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I think when you look at recruiting, the talent is spread out there. I mean, and so I do think that the system that they're using here give them a chance to implement it. Listen, the defense we knew was going to have growing pains. It did. I mean, that's where you took the biggest loss.
We've said that all summer and then from spring training.
And here we are. So,
Ryan, let me ask you a question that I'm having a little trouble understanding. I want you to define it for me. You keep saying this is the new college football. Define that for me. What do you mean this is the new college football? I don't understand.
We have introduced liberals want a utopia that is really not possible. They want to spread the wealth, right? They want Robert and Ryan and Jackson and everybody else.
Communism.
Well, it's more socialism.
Yeah.
Okay. They want everybody to make the same. I'm going to look at the call boards, and I got Marty. You want to make the same as Robert, Greg, Terry, Josh. Everybody makes the same. We're all making the same. Okay. That's where college football has ended up. We have got to a point where we have spread the talent. Everybody gets some. You get some, you get some, you get some. And I think when you look at, and I told this today at lunch with a friend of mine, I said, desperation and money are going to be the two programs that win. Alabama fans are not desperate enough to throw in money in that NIL fund. They're not. Because we had the Nick Saban rebuttal. Come on. Coach, you get those 5 stars. Now?
I would agree with that, Ryan, except for one thing.
And last week when I saw the quarterback decommit from Notre Dame and go to Auburn, I just thought to myself, my Lord, what did they have to pay?
That's what I was fixing to say. Auburn probably has the richest booster support of anybody. That's Jimmy Raines, who is the only billionaire in the state of Alabama. If that was the case, then millions upon millions would be dumped in the Auburn program. They would have the best program.
Well, I think you got to combine. I think you got to combine some, right? I mean, you got to have quality head coaches, but
Tim Cook isn't pulling his weight. I'll tell you that.
Well, and Tim didn't want to get in the iPhone because every one of us have one of these. And right now, Yellowwood's, listen, regardless of what we want to say, it's the best wood out there. Georgia Pacific or whatever it is, that Georgia Southern, whatever the wood, other brand.
Yeah, Yellowwood is good wood.
Yellowwood is incredible. I mean, I don't know what they treat their wood. Go take you a 2x4, buy you a piece of Yellowwood at Home Depot, go to Lowe's and buy the junk that they sell. Oh, did I just crack on Lowe's? My bad.
Oh.
Go buy you a 2x4 and set it out in the yard and see which one warps the fastest.
Or rot quicker. That's what you look at.
Well, but I mean, just warp. I mean, just, it'll twist and turn. And part of that is the growth of the pines, right? I mean, we're growing pines that used to take 25 years to grow. We're growing them in 10. And so the growth patterns are weaker and they're just not as strong. But all the hybrids. But you know what that's called, don't you, Robert? You preach against it probably every other Sunday.
What's that?
Greed.
Oh, well, sure.
Yeah.
Also supply and demand.
Yep. True. But
overall, I think you made a good point. I think about it. Maybe it takes time for this 4-2-5 to kick in and work. But
yeah,
I mean, if it don't work against Vandy, brother, only thing that's giving me a little hope for the future. And I hate to look ahead for another game because South Carolina, but Tennessee, my little fans didn't say much today because they don't appear to be as good as they thought they were. So.
I got you.
Right. That's one thing that made Saturday night special. At least it was a little better. Tennessee lost.
Well, and think about the other teams in college football. You had a bunch of losses, right? I mean,
Miami should have lost. They had a tough one.
They should have. It had some penalties that kind of went their way, and then
Ohio State didn't look too good either.
And 35-7, but I mean they covered the spread. It was a 17-point spread. Tennessee lost. Penn State. A little sloppy against UCLA, undefeated team. Obviously, Miami, we just talked about. Texas A&M beat number 9 Missouri. Washington, UW, with Jed Fish, beat Michigan 27-17. Minnesota, 3-3 football team, beat USC, which was at number 11. So, and then obviously, I mean, you go through the list. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. The new college football. that we're 1 week into the season, 1 week into the month of October, and we're sitting here with only one undefeated SEC. Or answer that question. Defensive adjustments coming out of the Vanderbilt game, or what in the Vanderbilt game he discussed today.
Yeah, we're always talking, and I'm, seeing whether it's taking a look on the iPad or look on the or just conversations with Coach Womack. I think the key with anything, and that's including our team, is that not overreact. Understand exactly why what is happening, and you have adjustments built into your game plan, and so it might be mixing things up, but you also got to make sure that you're just executing against what you're seeing. And sometimes it might be something a little bit different, and you just need to have another opportunity against that look with the call you made defensively too, just to be able to execute better. So, you're always going to look back. Again, everything gets amplified. So you're always going to look back and say, well, we could have done this earlier or more or whatever it might be. Offensively, you do the same thing. And so, I know we've had those conversations, not just during, but after. And, again, the worst thing you can do is panic. When we have a defense that has shown had a lot of success here, through 5 games. And there's just little bits and pieces of what we got to do. I mean, we really, in the second half, I thought we did a much better job on first down and second down. The game was a first down game the first half. They put themselves in better situations. The second half, we just had to do a better job of getting off the field on third down.
And we did not do that. And who did I say was first up? Is it Terry in Richmond, Virginia? Terry, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Hey, Ron. How you doing?
I'm good. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
That was a heck of a wake-up call.
Big time.
Man. We just couldn't get a stop. Like Martin said, you kept thinking, well, we'll just stop here. And but we just couldn't do it. What did they punt? Maybe once? I don't know.
I think they punted one time. That's just off memory.
Yeah, and was that our third turnover? And I say our third turnover when we had 2 guys on the field with the same number.
No, they had one other punt, so maybe there was 2. Maybe there was 2.
They did.
Yep.
Yeah. That was big. Yesterday I was on Twitter and reading up about the game, and so a Virginia Tech fan had posted something, and he had written an article about, Virginia Tech, hey, maybe Vanderbilt's better than we thought they were. And so I was reading his article, and he was saying in there, if we just hadn't had 2 guys on the field at the same time with number 0 when Vanderbilt punted, and it extended their drive, and they kicked the field goal. And that was an overtime game, if you remember. And Virginia Tech lost. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And we did the same thing in our game?
It was the case.
Yeah, it's obviously the case. So
did you hear Kalen DeBoer's response?
No, I didn't.
Jackson, look at the audio from Saturday. It's not from today. It's on the post-game clip with him talking about 2 number 2s in the game on the punt return. 2 number 2s. It should be labeled 2 number 2s. Should be close to that. 2 number 2s.
I'm not big on listening to press conferences.
Well, but I thought, his explanation is.
No, I'd like to. No, I'm not saying I'd like to hear what he says. I just don't, listen to him. Generally, if we win or lose,
okay. Continue. Send me the clips, Jackson, and I'll find it.
Would it be on the illegal substitution penalty that led to a touchdown?
I think that's it. I labeled them there. All right, Terry,
it did lead to a touchdown.
Yeah, let's play this real quick. This is
okay.
This is Kalen DeBoer, follow him in the game, because you're asking about it. I'd rather get him to explain it here.
Yeah, as a team, we win as a team with the team. It's all of us, and we have communication and ways of making sure we're all on the same page, and just what we called requiring certain guys to be on the field didn't get circulated around to everyone. I mean, we're well aware of that situation, and just got to do a better job. It's like I said, we win as a team and we lose a team, and those are the things that really hurt you, because I think they kept the drive alive and then ended up scoring a touchdown, and it was just that hump that we couldn't quite get over through a lot of the game, and that one is an early one.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, that was a big one. Well, I guess my point is, you'd think that they would have watched the tape of the Virginia Tech Vanderbilt, in scouting, and would have said, man, look at this, guys, we can't let this happen, I mean, what was Ryan Williams doing back there anyway? I mean, it was a short punt. I mean, it was going to be a fair catch, and usually our number 7 does that. But anyway, I just thought that was
Am I the only one that looks at Cole Adams with that gigantic, and I said this on Saturday's postgame show, with the elbow brace? I'm scared to death.
I know.
Because I'm sitting there going, if he's got to have that much protection on that elbow.
I know.
He's got to wear that brace, understanding, and we was talking to Martin about this on Saturday evening, and he said, well, he only has one choice. He has to carry the football in his left hand. And I'm just like,
yeah, that does sound a little odd. And hey, I like having Ryan Williams back there. I think he's both those guys. I feel real comfortable with. I felt more comfortable with number 7 before seeing him with the brace, but he seems real sure-handed. I like him, and
no, I do as well.
Yeah, but anyway,
well,
I just
until the Georgia game. The Georgia game was a mistake.
Oh yeah, that was a big one,
and that was him.
Was that him and Ryan Williams?
I was talking about the one he caught and just dropped it. So then he had to recover and put us inside the 5 or 10 yard line.
It was. That put us in a precarious spot.
But I almost go back to, why was Ryan in that game? Were they chasing points that early? Maybe they knew that this defense is not going to be able to hold up. Because I feel like they chased points all day.
Well, to return that punt?
I mean, I'm trying to justify why Ryan Williams is back there, other than maybe to give you a spark.
I don't know either, because it was a short punt. I mean, it was one of those that you would think that they were going to try to, like almost a pooch, like try to get you, usually those are fair caught, at the 10 or, somewhere like that. It wasn't like he was punting from his own 20 or something.
That's a good point.
If I remember correctly, it was a short punt. So I don't know. I don't know what that was about. But anyway, that was just one example, and then they scored a touchdown. So we were still chasing the points again, anyway.
Terry, I'm gonna because you're a historian of this game, okay, of the world of college football. When's the last time that has happened this early that there has been only one undefeated team in the SEC?
Well, I don't know. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of any. But I heard Martin say that about the Big Ten, but there's several Big Tens that are undefeated, I believe. There are. Yeah, this is a weird year for us.
So you have Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State.
Yeah.
But in the SEC, only one. Wow.
Well, I guess one ACC.
And I'm thankful that all the calls are jammed up because I don't have to listen to Digger call in and tell me how great Texas is, because he got in last week, and right now it's pretty good weight. So if he's willing to wait,
yeah. Well, hey, one reason I called Barrett Sallee. Oh my God, This guy,
don't you think? I mean, I stopped him on. I was like, come on. I mean, Kalen DeBose. I mean, that's
right.
not even
that's what
funny.
I mean,
say.
That's when his coach is channeling Doug Barfield down there, you know, and he says that about Kalen DeBose. Oh my God!
There is no comparison. I mean, one guy's got 100 wins. Mike DeBose got the job as assistant coach.
Yeah, and he's trying to say that Kalen jumps, you know, never stays anywhere, so we don't know. That was weird. And
that was straight out of the Auburn message boards. That's where that was.
Yeah, it is. It is. And you know who his number 2 team is. I think it's 1A. It's 1 and 1A is Georgia. And you know, last week he blew off his Sunday show after being in Tuscaloosa, and then you know, was he on your show on Monday last week? I don't know.
He was.
But anyway.
No, I'm sorry. He was on Tuesday. He had an obligation on Monday that we rescheduled him. Yep. So
yeah, he blew off his show that next morning on Sunday. But anyway, hey, and Robert from Brookwood asked, what is the new college football? And then immediately right after that said, you know, we got to hope that Vanderbilt keeps winning so it's not a bad-looking loss. There's your new college football. Isn't that something?
And I know people hate when I say it. And like I said, when I said it earlier, I don't even believe it myself. But this is the new college football. This is where the bureaucrats wanted to take us. Not Democrats. That's a different era or a different conversation. Bureaucrats. The administrators wanted to take us to this level of college football, and this is where we're at. Hey, Terry, I appreciate you, man, as always.
All right. Hey, thanks. Roll Tide.
All right, roll Tide to you. Let's go to Josh in Georgia. Josh, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Everything's all right. I have not been taking no crap from nobody because somebody, if the Lord wasn't the one to help me, would have caught these hands a long time ago after Saturday night. I'm serious. So I've been catching so much crap over this.
What are they saying?
Because of the crap I gave after we beat these bull puppies. But then, thanks to Karen, one of your callers and one of my friends from this show, Vanderbilt went into Athens in 2016 and beat Kirby. So, and this was the crappy Vanderbilt. This is a newly rebuilt Vanderbilt that, yeah, it's still Vanderbilt, but I'm not saying that it's a super team Vanderbilt that should have done what they did Saturday night. So, but they're like, y'all lost to Vanderbilt, the worst team in the SEC. I'm like, you want to stop a triple option offense? Be my guest, because who in the crap was expecting that? I wasn't. I mean, a triple option near.
So Josh, what you're telling me is you wrote a check last week that your butt's not able to cash this week, is what you're saying.
Not hardly. I mean, we still run the state of Georgia, and we still own the bull puppies and keep them locked up in the pound. I can remind them of that. But I took a little bit of crap because, I mean, we did lose to Vanderbilt. So, but no, I mean, we keep the dogs in the pound. So.
All right. So,
but anyways,
so Josh, what's your biggest concern?
Getting off the field on third down. I'm sitting there Saturday afternoon watching this game, and I feel like this is the game, almost like the national title game in 2017 in Florida when we had to replay Deshaun Watson, and we couldn't get off the field on third down, and it was 99 plays total. And we couldn't get off the field. I mean, I want to see a little bit, and I'm not blaming. I don't want to throw off on a coach. Martin, with a great explanation of Malachi Moore's actions and why he did what he did and everything. Martin could not have said anything any better, and I applaud Martin for that explanation of everything that Martin said. But is it frustrating? Yes. Does it suck? Yes. Is it a gut punch? Yes. You use the phrase alarm clock? Yeah. But I'm not going so far out the window as some people to say, get rid of this guy, get rid of this guy, get rid of that guy. And no, it's not that bad yet. This is just a wake-up call. And as you have said, it is the new college football. I do believe undefeated teams and undefeated seasons.
No, and I'm not removing the victory or the loss against Vanderbilt.
I'm just saying.
But this is, like, for that old school Alabama fan, losing is never accepted.
Right.
You're going to have a hard time with this one.
Right. And, it hurts. It hurts me, because, I'm not totally accustomed to losing, but this is a leveled playing field because NIL has made it a level playing field because you brought up the kid again that flipped from Notre Dame to Auburn. Who knows what that kid's getting to go to that podunk of a school. So, and I will say this, to help make my weekend better, Tennessee did lose. I stayed up, I watched that game, and I was able to eat bacon Sunday morning for breakfast with a smile on my face, and it not quenched my spirit, unlike Tennessee fans. So, and if I wanted to, I could have had barbecue yesterday, and it not bothered me either. So there's my shot at Tennessee for the time being. Do I look for us to get back on track and fix this? Yes. Because I don't know if anybody else was watching that South Carolina Ole Miss game because I know they was on about the same time as our game. But luckily I was in a place and I had multiple games on multiple TVs. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching our game. Then I'll glance over and I'd look at that Ole Miss South Carolina game. And, Pete Golding and his defense held South Carolina to 3 points? So you're going to tell me South Carolina is going to fix to come into Tuscaloosa and just run through us? I don't think so. I think we're going to get this thing fixed, get this thing on track, and we do what we do. But we've had a gut punch. We've had a gut check. And it's like, hey, wake up. And it's how we respond to this game that either we will be okay or it might be, hey, time to hit a panic button and time to reset for 2025. I don't know, dude. I'm not trying to be unrealistic here, and I'm not ready to fire nobody. I'm trying to be the Mr. Level-Headed of this show right now. Fair?
Fair enough. Josh, I appreciate you, man.
But, yeah, buddy. Hey, real quick, Friday, if any of the callers want to show up at Buffalo Wild Wings about 4:30, Jumbo, me, Dale, Mitchell, J-Rob, Ellis, we're going to have a little get-together and eat some chicken wings and have some fellowship. So anybody and everybody's invited. So
sounds like
about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Am I
Friday
invited?
Afternoon. Well, you'll be on air.
Did you guys?
Unless you want to come do it live.
Did you guys?
Did
you guys plan that on purpose? Is that what y'all said?
No.
Is that what y'all
That's
said?
not-
That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like you said, I know
hey,
Ryan will be busy from 2 to 6. Why don't we do this at 4:30? That's what it...
Okay, I can't throw somebody under the bus because I was not the one that planned this. But if I say who planned it, it's throwing them under the bus, and I can't do that because I'll get a message probably if I did throw that person under the bus. But I can't do it.
Josh,
but
what is their name? What does their name start with?
Well, that's not totally giving it away because there's about 4 of us in the group that has a J in the name. So.
Okay. So it's a J?
So,
it's a J.
Yeah. So I can't say who started it.
He's
but I
not
can't say
small?
I plead the Fifth Amendment on the grounds that I will incriminate myself.
He's not small?
I plead the Fifth Amendment on the grounds that I will incriminate myself.
He's not small, but he's... All right. Josh, be good, man. I appreciate the invitation, man. I've just got more obligation. We'll do a Brian Hard Construction SEC Parlay Pick Day. But, man, thanks so much, Josh.
Yeah, buddy. Looking forward to the trip to T-Town this weekend. Roll Tide.
Hey, right back to you. Let me tell you about The Wharf. If you're looking for a new pair of boots, Justin, Tony Lima, Red Wing, Georgia, Double H, Timberline, Laredo, and many more, it is The Wharf since 1976. All the great work in Western wear for the entire family. You'll find it at The Wharf right there on McFarland Boulevard, and you'll pass by El Gran, a Patron, And then if you go past the blue plate, you've went too far, turn around, your host. My feelings are hurt, man. I mean, I'd rather you compare me. I don't know. I mean, could do me anything. Call me anything.
Are you
the CNN a sports talk right? Oh Lord, no. I've never taken a journalism class, and I could be better than Miss Caitlin. Never. Oh my Lord, please, don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. We're gonna go to Greg at Alabaster, and then Jared out in Houston. So we'll get to him. Let's go to Greg. Hey, Greg. Good afternoon. You're in the game.
Good afternoon, Ryan. How are you?
Not worth a flip.
You know, it's understandable. Football, when you get down to the crust of it, is a very simple game, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You block, you tackle, you take care of the ball. The fourth element that comes along with it is how physical are you? And we got kicked in all four of those phases.
Man.
It's not a 4-2-5 problem. We're trying to shoot a gap and trying to make a play instead of doing our assignment. It doesn't matter if you're running a 3-4, a 4-2, a 4-1, a 5-0 stack. It doesn't matter if you don't pull your assignment when you're running against an option style attack. It doesn't. You're wasting time. If you don't block, if you don't tackle, you don't take care of the ball, and if you're not physical enough, to the man in front of you, you're going to get whipped. And we got whipped all day.
We did.
I know Saturday I said it way more emphatically than I am right now. Guys, quit pointing fingers. It comes right back to us. It is a self-reflection. We wasn't mentally nor physically prepared to go to war, and we got thumped.
Yes, we did. I mean, when you look, you said blocking, tackling,
taking care of the ball, and being physical.
And we screwed up all three or all four.
And so this is when, so to even step it down further and get a little more detail to it is, if you don't put your hands in the right place, you don't take the right steps. If you line up 3 inches too far to the left, you don't square your feet up properly. If you don't make the correct shift, you don't make the right read. You don't follow your key. You leave gaps. It's that attention to detail. I mean, how many times have when we go back and think about it, in some of Coach Saban's rants, these games that everybody wanted to overlook, and how many people are going to get to play, or some of the younger players going to get reps and get meaningful play time. If you don't take this opportunity to get better in these type games, when you have an opportunity to, we should have blown them off the field. We didn't, because we didn't take care of the little things. The little details get you beat. Not being prepared mentally, not being prepared physically. Those things are the things that the players have to take care of themselves. The old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can lead them down the path, but until they understand it, it's not going to be there. Now, look, you can point fingers at coaches. They didn't line them up right. They didn't get them ready to play. But players also have their own responsibility. When you get whipped on the field, play after play after play, you have to look at yourself. I mean, Tom Brady had humbling moments. All great players have humbling moments at some point in time when they got to do a little self-reflection. I tell my students, we're graded in a 60-second increment. What you did in the past 30 seconds, what you're going to do in the next 30 seconds. Doesn't matter what you did 2 minutes ago or what you think you're going to do an hour from now. It's what are you doing right now? Everything that you do right now, you have to take advantage of. We didn't take advantage of the moment to get better. We rested on our laurels, and we got kicked. What do we do from here?
And that's why I look at this upcoming game, South Carolina. I get it. I hope Corey's my colleague here at Tide 100.9. Hopefully kicks off the radio. But South Carolina, yeah, they're better than Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt just beat us.
Yeah.
But you look at South Carolina. It's not about, but it's not about the opponent. It's not about the opponent. It's who you are. It's who you are. Who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
It isn't
go back
about
to
the
simple.
opponent many occasions, but yeah.
Taking care of the ball. What did you do? Did you do your job? You ain't got to worry about. You're not supposed to worry about what somebody else do. Do your job. Do your job. Hold players accountable. If any players, offensively or defensively, if someone wasn't doing their job, did you see a leader get it manned? They start doing their job or replace them, put someone else on the field that would do the job. That's leadership. That's on the players.
Yes.
That's what's needed.
Hey, good.
I really.
No, go ahead.
I really didn't want to go that far, but I did.
Yeah, we did. Hey, I'm going to try to just squeeze in as many calls right here, Greg. I appreciate you, man, as always.
Roll Tide, my brother.
Roll Tide. Let's continue. We'll go to Jared. Jared, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Ryan, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm making it. I've had better days. I've had better weekends.
I like to think of you as the Rush Limbaugh of sports talk radio.
Oh, Lord.
And as a matter of fact, the next time you go to a commercial break,
okay,
tell them it's time for an obscene profit break, like Rush used to tell them.
Oh, obscene profit break? Okay.
Time for an obscene profit break, meaning we're going to take a break right here. We're going to make some obscene profit. That's what you need to tell them.
You know, and I know that in sports talk radio, we don't, we never talk politics on this show. I know other shows do, but that's okay.
Right.
Rush Limbaugh, really, if you look at what he did for talk radio in general,
unbelievable.
Pretty awesome. EIB network was
yes, the golden microphone at the EIB network.
Yeah.
So next time you go to a commercial break,
I used to laugh at him when he would do his last hour intro. And he goes, I just recapping the first 2 hours for all of you guys that stayed in bed for the first two.
He had
a way of entertaining, man. He had a way of entertaining. And
he was fantastic. So I like to think of as Ryan Fowler as the Rush Limbaugh of sports talk radio. So next time, like I said earlier, it's time for an obscene profit break.
Obscene profit break. We'll take an obscene.
Obscene.
Yeah.
Meaning the amount of money we're going to make on this segment is going to be obscene.
Yeah, it will be. It will be.
Man, I'm trying to stay positive here. I promised Jackson I'd be the light of the
we need that. We need that.
But the sun came up in Tuscaloosa today, didn't it? It came up in Spring, Texas.
Yeah, let me check. It's shining out there, so it must have came up.
Good.
I don't know what point, but it's up. So
good. Well, I'll tell you,
I was at Northport Power Equipment just about right when they opened today. So I was there when the sun was coming up, going to see my friends at Bryant and Keith Ellis over at Northport Power Equipment, and I had to upgrade. I got to upgrade a couple of things because these darn leaves are falling everywhere.
It's fall. Fall time is here, man.
Yeah, and I live in the woods, and cleaning up leaves is just it's an issue. It's just crazy.
You talked about earlier. You talked about not to change the subject.
No, you're fine.
But you talked about this is the new college football. The Alabama fans that are used to going 13-0 and winning every game by 40 points and all. I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you are, because here in Texas, normally when Alabama gets beat, I get texts, I get phone calls, I get social media posts, I get emails, I get everything and get pounded. I haven't heard a word. You know why? Because I think they know too. Texas like, well, we got to play Oklahoma, we got to play Georgia back to back, and then we got Vanderbilt at their place. Let me tell you, anybody thinks they're going to go to Vanderbilt and push them around, they got another thing coming. I mean, those guys are a couple plays from being undefeated and atop the SEC. They're a couple plays from being undefeated. So, does the loss sting? Sure it does. Are we supposed to lose to Vanderbilt? Never in a billion years. But we did. And it is what it is. We just got to move forward. We got to support our team. We got to support our coaches. If I hear one more word about firing there's some juvenile social media stuff last night about firing the defensive coordinator on the bus and making a list of replacements for Kalen DeBoer. I'm like, what are you juvenile idiots talking about? I mean, it's anyway, on a positive note, I believe in our coach. I believe in our team. I believe in our players. I think they're going to get it fixed. And we got to take it 1 week at a time. We got to go back to that 1-0 mentality, because this last week we're 0-1. So we got to flip it back to that 1-0 mentality and just take care of business. You got South Carolina coming to town next Saturday, and just go take care of South Carolina, and whatever happens the next week, we'll worry about it the next week. Right now, we got to focus 100% on South Carolina. Make sure. I think there was a communication issue in the game Saturday. I don't know to what detail, but from what I saw, there was a couple guys on defense when they got the call. They looked like they were confused. They were jumping around and weren't sure which lane was theirs. So I think there might have been some communication issues. But whatever it is, I think Kalen DeBoer's got enough guts in him to get it fixed, and I think they're sitting down today and putting a game plan together for South Carolina and getting ready to take care of business. So,
hey, Jared, appreciate you, man.
The sun's going to come up, guys. The sun's going to come up.
It did.
Keep fighting. Roll Tide.
Hey, Roll Tide. Right back to you. Let's continue, and we go here to Dave. Dave, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, Ryan. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, man. I think some of these Bama fans have a short memory. If you remember back the Auburn-Alabama game under Nick Saban, Gus Malzahn was at Auburn, and Alabama got called. That's when they had Tua. Alabama got called with too many men on the field. It was 4th and 4, and that 5-yard penalty gave Gus Malzahn and Auburn a first down. They took 4 knees. The game's over. Alabama loses. So it happens. It's definitely a communication problem. People got to remember, man, these are 17 to 20-year-old kids. And college football is a big-time emotional game, unlike the NFL. That's the difference. And these kids, they don't think. They make mistakes. They get caught up in the moment. And those things happen. But, Nick Saban has said before, getting beat sometimes can be a good thing. Sometimes it keeps you from reading the newspapers and reading about how great you are. So I think maybe, just maybe, Alabama's going to learn from it. And it's early enough, right, that there's big games this weekend, Oklahoma, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State. A lot of people are going to lose. And there's still plenty of time. So not to worry, and let's stop don't pull an Auburn, okay, where they're already talking about getting rid of Hugh Freeze. Just let it go.
Yeah, well, listen, when you look at Kalen DeBoer, I think he's the perfect guy for the job. Is he having to make some adjustments? Yeah, but I think his cool, calm, collective mannerisms is something that is, it's refreshing in a lot of ways. Now,
well, you never want your team to see you panic.
No,
when your team sees a coach panic,
especially for a young football team. And this is a young football team. You've got some older guys, but you also have some younger guys too.
You got it. Hey, Ryan, I appreciate you taking my call, man.
Hey,
have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Hey, we appreciate that. We actually have 2 lines available if you want to jump in. Cliff, Knoxville. Cliff, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
All right, so how many points does it take to win a game? 35 points is more than enough to win a football game.
Yes, it is.
All right, so in my opinion, I'm looking back at SEC championship, Alabama, Florida, over-aggressive with Tim Tebow, and they just run it up the gut on us. And to me, I felt like the defense was very over-aggressive. Just the same scenario with Kirby Smart there as our defensive coordinator. I think that was season 2 under Nick Saban. So that's my take, is that we were just overly aggressive. Maybe we weren't, mentally prepared. But 35 points is more than enough. We overcame 2 turnovers. Come on, he's already won. Kalen DeBoer, granted he's got some of Nick Saban's roster, but he's already won more than half of the games that Nick Saban won his first season, guys. Give him a break, I mean, I feel like that we've got some things that we we need to settle down when we're dealing with an offense like we were dealing with Vanderbilt, right? Settle down and do your job, containment, which was one thing, and we didn't do that. And I just think it's from over-aggressive defense. 35 points is more than enough. And like I said, 4 games, no. Stephen A., he's not Nick Saban. He's Kalen DeBoer, okay? He's got a great record. He's a good coach.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think, when you look at – I think he's going to handle it. And just because he doesn't do anything in the public spotlight doesn't mean that he's not doing anything.
I know, but you know what?
I'm talking about the Malachi Moore situation, because that's what a lot of people are judging him based on.
No, I don't. That is one person acting out. You know what I mean? And to me, we even under Nick, we had people that did stupid things on the field. I can't remember, horns down or something like that when we were in Texas a couple of years ago.
Oh, tons. I mean, poor old Tony Brown. Yeah. I mean, Lord, it was almost every game.
Yeah. So
and I like Tony. I like Tony, but I mean he was tough. I mean, he was tough to manage.
Yeah, right. And I think that Malachi Moore is a manageable situation. Just get him. And again, it's just doing your job, containing, holding the edges, forcing the ball up the middle, and having people there that can make a play. Man, that little stupid flea flicker that they ran on us, that's like freaking Pop Warner stuff, okay? And honestly, that would have never happened had we just settled down a little bit and did our job. And I think that I don't know if they were mentally prepared or what. It's hard for me to decide. And I'm not one of these people that's just judgmental or whatever, but 35 points is more than enough to win a football game. Settle the defense down. Don't go in there and try to, kill plays. And I think that's what they were doing, trying to go in there and make a play.
I think they were chasing points. I think they were chasing points all day.
I agree with you 100% on the defensive side of the ball. And so, and to overcome 2 turnovers and still turn out 35 points, man, I'm proud of the guys for that. No, I'm not turning on the coach as of yet.
So.
No. But I tell you what I'm sick of. Tennessee fans jumping on the Vandy bandwagon, okay?
It's kind of like the Bugs, man. The Bugs have got 2 wins, and they're all Vanderbilt fans. But listen, that's what we expect from the Bugs. That's what they do. But hey, Cliff, I gotta get to this break, man. I'm late. I'm sorry.
Wait, I got one more thing to say.
Okay.
And I had a Tennessee fan say, well, if Auburn was doing well, maybe you would pull for him. I said, Alabama fans will never pull for Auburn. Roll Tide, brother.
I wouldn't pull for them if they were playing Afghanistan. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 doubles. Let's go to Marty in Arkansas. Marty, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
All is well, Ryan. I'm taking a little bit of heat with Arkansas winning, and I told you they'd beat those dirty orange people.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Isn't that good? But, Ryan, one thing, Vanderbilt had 2 weeks to prepare for us on a 4-2-5 defense. And it's hard, and I don't care what you say. Look at Army and Navy. They're undefeated. It's hard to get ready for an option team in 1 week. It's not, and they had 2 weeks to prepare for a 4-2-5 defense that ain't made to stop an option. Because I talked to the coach today, and he said, nope, Because if that one man just gets out of there, and our one man got out of there, and he went, Ryan, I remember tomorrow.
Yeah, I remember a Nick Saban team struggling with an option team too. But I got to get out of here, Marty. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll call early tomorrow. We'll talk. Hey, I want to see what Mike DeTillier has to say.
Yeah, he will be on tomorrow, man. Let me go to Chris in Kentucky. Chris, about 20 seconds. Go. All right, Chris I think he read the writing on the wall. That's all right, Chris. We'll get back to you, man, at another day. We'll do it again tomorrow. I want to thank our law enforcement officers, EMTs, firefighters, first responders. You guys are incredible. Thank you. Highway Patrol, we appreciate you guys. We remind you that we call this program the game of the only let you win the big game. The game of life is to walk daily with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Good night, T-Town.
Listening to